But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If Earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat Earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Excuse me. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Robert Edward, Pablo de la Cruz, Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, Survive the Spin, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Tiers Morgan, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, JMels24, Unamento, Iron26, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links to Patreon are below this video. But with that, I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
That's so funny.
What is?
Feel free to join me on my show.
Oh, you're talking about my message to Wayne?
Yeah, it just hit me out of nowhere because you call him dummy and you pretty much breaking it down for him, and then feel free to join me.
I just don't have annoying. I mean, it's weakness that I'm showing when I do things like that, really, because I'm upset.
No. That was perfect.
Yeah, it's one of those, when people threaten your ability to earn money and you're really poor, then, he's hit a nerve, hasn't he? Otherwise, I would have just ignored him. But he's hit a nerve because in his smug, fart-sniffing way, he's like, why don't you make a video about this? There's magnetic field lines creating the compass directions. Therefore, generally, up is what we're referring to with magnetic field lines. I'm like, what? This has got a fallacy named after it, right? What's it called? A fallacy of misplaced direction or something. I can't remember what it was called. I had to look it up on the fly. But, like I say, almost immediately after sending it, I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I spending my time writing an email? I probably spent 25 minutes writing it out. Totally unnecessary. Piss off. We should have been more responsible. I should have just ignored him. But being poor gets it. I don't know. It brings out a self-perceived weakness in me, and I don't like it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be led by a reaction that's governed by my financial independence or my financial hardship. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel like I'm being led, and I hate that. I absolutely hate it.
No, I think, this is what you do for a living, so it's going to come out of you. When someone says something stupid, I thought that was perfect. You told them, go look at this picture, point north and then tell me that's up. Something to that effect. Maybe that'll shake them up because I still think...
Gave him a diagram of altitude and azimuth, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Who gives a shit what magnetic field lines do in terms of the convention that's being derived from this two-dimensional tool? It's like, what? Magnetic field lines, therefore globe. Like, I drew the line when I thought I was about to type out an affirming the consequent fallacy, and then I read through it. I'm like, this is like 2 paragraphs long. Clearly, he's obviously got to me, and if I was to read that from someone else, if you know what I mean, I'd just laugh. I'd just think, clearly, I've got you goat. I've clearly wound you up, or you wouldn't have spent half an hour typing out a response. to my suggestion that I should be making videos about magnetic field lines when it comes to the convention of two-dimensional directionality. No, I'm good, thanks. But that should have been my response. Now, am I right? Thanks. Not. There was other bits that I didn't respond to him, like his suggestion that there's a subscriber of mine contacting him, saying that magnetic field lines don't loop back on themselves or something like that. I'm like, what? Number one, I don't give a shit what somebody contacting you about magnetic field line says. And number two, why is it that you're automatically ascribing this person as being my subscriber? What, because I've covered you and talk about flat Earth, suddenly every single respondent is down to me. Like, I've suddenly got to take ownership of somebody who's contacting you. That's your problem. You deal with them. Why are you telling me to deal with them? Who are you to me? Oh, you're some guy who's taken offence at me using your face on a thumbnail and has put a copyright strike in against me. You're like, you're a cunt. You think I want your fucking suggestions? I'd rather break your teeth. Like, you put in danger my ability to feed my fucking kids. You think I want to have a friendly back and forth with you? I'd rather piss on your grave. Jump off a fucking cliff.
Or you could have just said, yeah, why don't you come to my show and tell me all about it? I'm sure my audience would love to hear it. But I get what you're saying.
No, I did say that to him.
No, before everything else. I'm saying before you go into that whole thing where you take 30 minutes, what he should have did was, why didn't he contact the subscriber? Why did he contact you? Right?
I don't know. You've taken umbrage with me because I've used your face on a thumbnail in a video about you. And like every weaselly, fart-sniffing, smug bastard, he's found some loophole about his image. You're like, okay, so you look into the legality of what you're saying and you're correct. Yeah? You fucking fart-sniffing wanker who's threatening my ability to feed my fucking kids. Yeah, you're right in the eyes of the law. You fucking smug cunt. So I'll concede to you, you fucking prick. That's how I feel about him. You're like, all right, so I've made a video about you. I've directly addressed things that you've said, but because you've got a little angle to work on the thumbnail that uses your image, you're like, okay. Yeah, okay, fine, yeah. How clever of you to be able to threaten my ability to feed my fucking kids. I hope you blow off a cliff. I hope a gust of wind catches you. And when they describe your death, it'll be from an altitude measured from sea level that you got blown off. That's how I feel about him. Fucking cunt. I know, frankly, as much as I've said, yeah, feel free to come and tell me how fucking azimuth and altitude are actually describing how north is up. Dumb fuck. What you'll get from me is utter disdain, which is unjust. You know, I'm sure in his mind, the petty nature of not wanting his face on a thumbnail and his angle in legality means that he can smugly go about his day like he's Lady Muck because he's figured something out that he can get the better of another YouTuber just trying to make a fucking living.
Yeah, instead of addressing the issue, he copyright struck you. That's not good.
Yeah, and then after the copyright strike, when I've had to concede, then he's like, hey, let's enter into a conversation. You think I want to fucking talk to you? I'd rather beat the shit out of you. Stupid fucking moron. Who the fuck do you think you are?
It's like someone robbing you and then wanting to come and have coffee with you.
Yeah, exactly. You've put in danger the ability to feed my kids. Yeah? Don't get me wrong, I can concede where in law you are correct about your ownership of your own imagery. Fine. Yeah, I've had to concede. Do you think that means I want to fucking talk to you? No, not at all, mate. I just see you as a complete cunt now. While I described you as a seemingly amiable guy, now I just see you as a fart-sniffing bastard. That's all I see you as now. So my opinion of you's gone massively downhill. Now, had you just fucked off, having copyright strike my channel, got a concession out of me, and then resolved the issue so I don't have a copyright strike impeding my ability to feed my fucking kids, then if you'd have just fucked off, I'd have no animosity towards you. But you haven't just fucked off. You've contacted me and started entering into a discussion about the subject we should have been debating about. No. How fucking dare you? You are just another cunt. Just another scumbag wanker. Just another anti-flat earther. Yeah, so delighted with yourself that you managed to get the better of me. What did you achieve? You put in jeopardy my ability to feed my fucking kids. Yeah? Now, in reality, yeah, that's the kind of thing that would get your fucking teeth knocked out. Oh, yes, that's right. I contacted the council about the parking issue in front of your business and drove away lots of customers. But strictly speaking, they were parking illegally. You're like, yeah, but it weren't affecting you. How fucking dare you? So now I'm struggling to pay rent because I've got no fucking customers. But you're going to come into the shop, order food and lord it over me and carry on like entering into discussion with me. How fucking dare you? You immediately go down in my estimation when you do things like that. It just makes you a wanker, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I fucking know about who's contacting you. Take your contact with your random subscriber that's got nothing to do with me and cram it up your asshole. Up being perpendicular to a plane of reference. You fucking numpty. So yeah, I'm not best pleased about the map reading company getting in touch with me after I've conceded to his seemingly legitimate copyright claim about a thumbnail and his imagery and the use thereof. Like, take your win and fuck off. Yeah, well done. Now fuck off. What's that, you want to talk about Flat Earth now? I'd rather punch your teeth out, thank you very much. No thanks. No, I've got 2 daughters to worry about whether I can put food on the fucking table. You put that in jeopardy, now you want to discuss Flat Earth with me? How fucking dare you?
Yeah, it obviously hit a spot and he's not comfortable anymore.
His comfort level is utterly inconsequential. I couldn't give a fuck. Yeah, I was conciliatory when it came to his correct assertions about my use of his imagery on a thumbnail. Perfectly pleasant with him. You got what you wanted, now fuck off. And come back to me talking about the subject like I want to discuss it with you. Who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah, I get that. And you're absolutely right. But I think there's some stuff he's reading and people getting in touch with him starting to make him feel uncomfortable, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, his discomfort has led to him wanting to deny me my ability to feed my own fucking kids. So, you know, it's like, what, you think it's justified, yeah, to put somebody who's just trying to make a living on YouTube in a position where they may not have a revenue stream? You think that's justified? Why? Because you're uncomfortable at Earth being measured flat, exactly as you describe it. And you don't want me using you as citation. That's basically what this boils down to. You want the world to cuck to you in your flat Earth measurements and also whistle past how flat you're measuring it. Because we've all got a ball belief, right? And you need to maintain that because of magnetic field lines. Really? That's what you've used to justify this, is it? You're wanting to seemingly justifiably deny another man of his ability to feed his fucking family. It's actually about field lines for North. What a cunt. Talking about Wayne from the map reading channel. Total cunt. Puts a copyright claim in front of me, and when I concede to his demands to make it go away, so I'm no longer in a position where I've got any, he then comes back to me and starts entering into discussions about Flat Earth. I mean, the gall.
That's what I'm saying. It's pretty telling. So he's going to look past that, not even freaking consider that he put your channel in jeopardy, and then he just wants to hang out and discuss the issue that's making him feel uncomfortable.
So I've sent him an email that says, yeah, I've changed your thumbnail. It's not got your face on anymore. Yeah? His response. That was it. I gave him one line. Cheers, Nathan. Just on a quick note, I got an email from one of your subs last week. Should I paraphrase this in the middle of it? How the fuck does he know it's one of my subs? He doesn't. They, not sure if they're male or female. Oh, you don't know if they're male or female, but you know they're one of my subs. All right, I see. Said that many of my videos are wrong. I couldn't give a flying fuck, Wayne. As I point out that the compass needle dips. And show this happening in a video. They said this proves compasses don't point north or south, as north or south would be straight lines from some location. I pointed out to them that north, and at this point I couldn't give a flying fuck what this conversation is, it's nothing to do with me. I pointed out to them that north and south are just directions which follow a magnetic field line. These lines generally, but not always, point to the top and bottom, of the earth. But whichever way they point, there is no gap or break in the line. They always come out of a magnet and eventually go back in. The reason for that... Why are you telling me the fucking reason? Did I ask you, you cunt? I fucking want this education from you. You're a man who's tried to have my channel restricted in terms of its ability to feed my kids. And you think I give a fuck about somebody who's contacted you about fucking magnets? You fart-sniffing arsehole. Wayne, you're a cunt. You're going to need to know the reason. I don't give a flying fuck. I didn't ask you for this. Yeah? If I want your opinion, I'll go to your publicly available shit and react to it like I did. Oh, what did that result in? You putting in a fucking copyright claim against me, you complete arsehole. Now you think I want to know this shit? No, I don't. Cram it up, your arsehole. That's what you can do with this shit, Wayne. Anyway, let's continue. The reason for this is that magnets always have a closed loop. It has to come out somewhere and go back in somewhere else, so it must be curved. They answered that it can be in a loop as the world is flat. I didn't reply. This would be a good topic for you to cover in a video, Wayne. All right, well, thanks, Wayne. My response. Dear Wayne, open brackets, a man who made a claim against my channel which I used to financially support my family, close brackets. Thank you for your unsolicited email following the conclusion of our business regarding the use of your face on a thumbnail used for a reaction video about you specifically. You think North is, quote, generally referring to the, quote, top, open brackets, vertical perpendicular to a plane, close brackets, do you? Open brackets, see wrong direction fallacy, detailed at the quote-unquote bottom of this email, a vertical description, close brackets. And then I cite, the four cardinal directions or cardinal points are the four main compass directions, north, south, east and west. The corresponding azimuths, clockwise horizontal angle from north are 0, 90, 180 and 270 degrees, end quote. And then I cite a different source. The term top simply indicates vertical position and does not inherently define orientation. It can refer to the highest point of a vertical object, end quote. I continue. Directions are 2D, as are map scales, miles, and the horizontal measurements of distances shown on the maps. We have perpendicular altitude changes in topography, open brackets, according to you, accurate to the millimetre when measurement of the quote-unquote top of the ground is made, close brackets, detailed with measurements from sea level, together with mean sea level itself, full stop. Do you need me to cite what, quote, azimuth means too, you stupid man? It's flat. Not, quote-unquote, generally, but, quote-unquote, flat always and without exception. You, quote-unquote, just come across as a complete weasel when you use words like, quote-unquote, generally, full stop. That's scumbag weasel language used by idiots. And then I, in bold type, azimuth is horizontal. Open brackets. No need for generalisation when we detail facts about measurements, close brackets. I then cite azimuth is a horizontal angle measured in degrees clockwise from north. Oh, it's my citation. Blah, 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 blah. And then I go on. Does horizontal, in quotes, generally, also in quotes, mean the quote-unquote top? Or are you just stupid? Go buy a compass. Look at it. It's not measuring the quote-unquote top of anything, you stupid man. Quote-unquote top being a flat earth-only description perpendicular to horizontal. A ball has out and in, and you create the globe earth religion of ball surfaces with a flat measurement of angles to stars from surface level, used, open brackets, after measurement from surface level, close brackets, on the equatorial plane inside a ball, so it can function with azimuth, open brackets, flat, close brackets, for direction and altitude perpendicular to a plane to establish where the top, quote unquote, of things are. Always, exclamation mark. Generally, in quotes, fart-sniffing smug bastards will seek out ways to affirm their bull bias with stupid nonsense that they, open brackets, you, close brackets, use to work outside of the practically applied conventions like 2D flat directions and altitudes perpendicular to a plane of reference because, quote, magnetic field lines, therefore bull, end quote. You stupid religious clown trying to confirm your bull religion. I then put a diagram of the celestial meridian with zenith at the top, observer in the centre, a star on a protractor measurement of an altitude labelled as altitude with an angle measurement with respect to the horizontal azimuth, with north labelled on the horizontal plane that is also labelled with the word horizon. I then point at it and say, is this north generally at the top? No, you stupid man. It's absolutely flat without question. I suggest you use this diagram to make a video about how north, quote, generally at the top, end quote, so we can all laugh at you. I understand this must be very difficult for you, given the limited understanding of English words like quote-unquote top, when using it in the context of the convention of direction. Don't strike me and then think I desire videography suggestions from you, based on random people who contact you and your failure to understand how measurements get you to the quote-unquote top of land which has had a survey, open brackets, not by you, close brackets, for its height. What kind of fool are you? Earth is measured flat with a compass. You fail to comprehend the difference between azimuth and altitude, both being flat Earth prerequisite measurements. Unless a horizontal angle, in quotes, is, in quotes, generally pointing to the, quote, top, a vertical description, you clown. Look up cognitive dissonance, you stupid man who gave me a copyright strike and threatened my ability to feed my kids. I hope you get blown off the top of a cliff, open brackets, cliffs having perpendicular altitude measurement from sea level, accurate, in quotes, to the millimetre, close brackets, quoting him specifically when detailing when we measure Earth flat. Don't email me again with your dumb suggestions based on random people who contact you and are not my kids, who are like to be able to feed with the revenue you saw fit to threaten. Earth is measured flat with a compass. You level this tool to reference 2D degrees in the horizontal, you complete idiot. But feel free to join my live show via the public link and tell me that azimuth and compass directions are generally, in quotes, referring to the quote-unquote top of something, you stupid idiot. I can then call you dumb for an audience and feed my kids with the revenue generated from your cognitive dissonance and idiocy. Quote-unquote top from a compass? Compass emoji, laughing on the floor rolling emoji. No, you are very much mistaken, you stupid man. The, quote, wrong direction fallacy, quote, in mapping, specifically is the assumption that north is quote-unquote up on a 2D map. It is a cognitive and cartographic bias that mistakenly conflates direction coordinate with vertical orientation, end quote. And then I cite what a directional coordinate is. A directional coordinate with respect to the four cardinal directions, open brackets north, south, east and west, is a measurement system that defines a specific location or bearing based on its orientation relative to these fixed points, often using angular degrees, end citation. Earth is measured flat. North is not generally up, end quote. You fallacy-using moron with a religious globe faith. Sincerely, Nathan, a family man with 2 small children trying to make a living who consistently gets bastards like you making claims against his main source of income. P.S. Your claim was about the 30th time I've had to deal with arseholes in 12 years. I think that's it. Here we go. P.S. Your claim was about the 30th I've had to deal with in 12 years. You fart-sniffing, fallacy-using, smug bastard who doesn't understand what quote-unquote top means when referencing 2D directionality measured in horizontal degrees and used in practical application for navigation of a measured flat Earth. Compass emoji. Sent from my iPad.
Nathan, that was the most educational telling off I've ever heard.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, because, I mean, everything you said was right on point. Very educational. And you managed to tell them off at the same time. Well done.
Yeah, I'd have rather he just buggered off. Sorry, go ahead, Surf Daddy.
It's kind of like telling off a professor who's just condescended to look down upon you and give you a little bit of nugget of, oh, why don't you do this project, little boy? And telling him off that he's not as smart as he thinks he is.
No, I think Nathan hit a nerve, and he's thinking about this stuff. That's why he contacted Nathan when somebody else sent him an email. So anybody that sends him an email pertaining to Flat Earth, he's going to contact Nathan now.
Well, I think it's hitting a nerve because he actually seems like a nice guy. I mean, I agree with Nathan when he first did the video. I mean, the guy's video was enjoyable to watch. He was nice. He was self-deprecating. He's not your normal, anti-flat earther or highbrow professor kind of.
Just careful. Just put that in past tense. He wasn't past tense. A wanker anti-flat earther. No. Since we've covered how flat he measures Earth, he's become that cunt that likes to dish out copyright strikes, like I've had an endless stream of ever since covering this subject. He just lowered himself to the standard of absolute cunt.
Roger that, check, and I agree. Which is too bad.
Yeah. Like I say, I had nothing but admiration for him. Unlike most of the arseholes we have to contend with and deal with when we cover these sorts of videos, in the case of Wayne, we did not criticise him. We weren't calling him any names. I said he was a little bit smug, because he is, in terms of his fart-sniffing presentation in his video. But we weren't being obnoxious. We were just observing his measurements of a flat Earth and detailing them. And the response was scummy, underhanded, deceitful, and just basic wanker. You're like, excuse me, fellow YouTuber, why would you do that? No, you can't just send me a fucking email. No, you can't. You've got to copyright strike me, right? Clover? Yeah? Are you dressed? Yeah. Come here. This is my daughter, Clover. She's my youngest daughter that I try and feed with revenue from this stream, Wayne. Yeah? You want to look her in the eye and say that you want to discuss Flat Earth with me? Yeah? When you've tried to rob me of my ability to feed her? You are a complete scumbag, Wayne. Yeah? And I wouldn't mourn you if you died. I'd piss on your grave. I hope you understand that. Thanks, Clover. Total scum. I'm trying to feed 2 fucking kids, and your reaction to that is to try and rob me of my ability to do so, rather than just contacting me by email. I mean, you managed it when you got one of your subs telling you how wrong you were. You felt the need to email me about that. But when it comes to what you're technically correct about how I can't use your... Oh, you wanker. You complete scumbag.
So, how you doing otherwise, Nathan?
Furious, I am poor as shit, right? So when not only it's when you're at the absolute lowest, when you've been fucked over by a couple of friends who've robbed from you, you're struggling to pay your fucking mortgage and bills, and then some cunt like Wayne comes along and twists the knife a little bit more, like the 30 other people who've dished out copyright strikes me over the last 12 years. You just become an anti-flat earth cunt. That's all you are, Wayne. Just another cunt. That's all you are, and I want you to absolutely fucking know it.
Yeah, I understand. I'm right with you with the poverty. I can't pay my rent. I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet. So it does get you annoyed when people just come out of nowhere.
In his fucking mind, he thinks I'm going to be grateful for the suggestion of videography. I make daily videos, you fucking cunt, you fart-sniffing fallacy-using wanker. You think I need your fucking help? No, what I do need is you to not try and deny me the ability of making a fucking income. Now, had you have emailed me and just asked politely, I'd have changed your fucking thumbnail anyway. I'm not an unreasonable man. You are, you fart-sniffing, fallacy-using dumb shit. Yeah? You think the up direction of two-dimensional compasses is something I want to fucking discuss with you now? How fucking how arrogant. You think I want your fucking company? I'd rather smash your teeth out.
Oh, he's pulling a Phil Bell. We're out of tune, according to him, I bet.
Yeah, we don't understand magnetic field lines. I didn't fucking ask you about them. You want to make a video about them so I can dissect them, or will I get a fucking copyright strike if I respond to you, you fart-sniffing, fallacy-using dumb shit? Yeah, where's my response going to be? Is he going to respond to the shite he spewed about up being north? I mean, I point out a fucking fallacy he's using. Is that going to get a video response?
Showtime. How are you?
Smiling in the intro. I've just been giving a sweary tirade towards somebody who dropped a copyright strike on me, and I had to negotiate with them to get it removed. So after the negotiation of this arsehole over a copyright strike, he's decided after the fact, when it's been concluded and the business is done, that he's going to engage in flat earth discussion with me about somebody who's contacted him via his email that he suggests without evidence, even though he doesn't know if they're male or female, are my subscriber. And therefore, because somebody who allegedly is one of my subscribers has contacted this person, that's Wayne from the mapping channel, that I'm somehow deserving of getting into a conversation with a man who's put in jeopardy my ability to feed my kids. Now, this person is, as far as I'm concerned, a newly converted anti-flat earther, formerly a seemingly pleasant individual that's become completely scummy. That's my tirade of verbal abuse and general bad language that was utilised in the pre-show. So if you've just come from this and you've listened to it in the pre-show, you'll know why I'm smirking during the intro telling you not to swear on the live show. But there we go. Good. Go ahead, whoever that was.
Oh, sorry, Nathan. Good morning and good afternoon and good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon. But just to continue that theme, so in the pre-show, I go through the email response to that particular individual, and my sentiment to Neil, although he disagreed, was that it's a demonstration of my own weakness, which is to say that I'm sensitive to things that are potentially going to impact me financially when I'm extremely poor. Now, like with my monsters and demons, I'm pretty in touch with my own failings and weaknesses as well, which is to say that I know when I'm demonstrating weakness to a so-called opponent. Now, the rhetoric of the show is, this guy's not my opponent. I shouldn't care, right? But my weakness comes out of me because I want to feed my kids, and this person's copyright striking me, putting that in jeopardy. So when that person, after the fact, gets in touch and wants to discuss a flat earth concept with me, you're like, I'd rather stamp on your face than discuss this with you. Now, what I did instead of telling him that was pointing out how he's utilising a fallacy. That is to say, the suggestion that north is up is a fallacious reasoning that this person has employed because of magnetic field lines, therefore globe. Like, number one, I haven't asked you to enter into this discussion with me. I try and earn a living on YouTube by inviting people to come onto the show via the public link, and then we can discuss these things. And when you say, well, north is up because of my magnetic field lines, everybody will laugh at you and will give you diagram after diagram showing you azimuth and altitude and how it's measured flat, because it is. Therefore, the discussion between us is inconsequential, but it could be entertainment that might generate a revenue stream for me to be able to feed my family with. Now, this same individual, rather than wanting to engage in discussions that could potentially feed my family as a YouTuber, has decided to deny me of that ability by putting copyright strikes against me. Now, I'm not going to deny that this particular individual was correct in their assessment that suggested that my use of their image did work outside of the confines of fair use when monetized. A weaselly justification for threatening a family man's ability to feed their kids. Nevertheless, correct, which I conceded. But that particular person took my concession after realising the awful reality of a factual piece of information with regards to a thumbnail that I've made specifically about a man we've covered in detail when he's measuring Earth flat would result in me wanting to discuss the elements of flat Earth when it comes to directionality acquired from a compass because of a email participant with him? No, absolutely not. No, you've gone right down to the bottom of the list in terms of my estimations. When we responded to the video you copyright struck, we called you a reasonable man. He said you seemed a bit smug, you do. But other than that, we were quite conciliatory when we talked about you describing what you self-confessed to be boring at various different stages of measuring Earth flat to the millimetre accuracy with Ordnance Survey's measurements of the top of the land. Now, top, that's a vertical orientation, only describable perpendicular to a plane of reference, has nothing to do with the horizontal orientation when describing north. North isn't up. That's ludicrous and idiotic. And field lines, unless you're begging the question and affirming the consequent, aren't a justification for your ball faith. Your ball faith doesn't come from magnetic field lines. It comes from elevation angle measurements that derive radial values to take areas of equal altitude, that's circles of equal altitude, circles of equal elevation, and turn them into a spherical system. They're measured flat with angles to Polaris. It's called latitude. Now, we understand implicitly how north is flat. Do you think I want to engage in a conversation about it with somebody who's, I don't know, stealing from me, threatening to take away my ability to broadcast, putting in bogus copyright strikes, porn bombing me, telling me my kids should be taken away from me, calling social services, phoning the police on me? That's what I have to endure. Now, wankers, fart-sniffing fallacy-using wankers like Wayne from the Map Company, they don't have to suffer such shit to just make videos on YouTube. They do disclaim how they perceive their own information to be boring on occasion when they're detailing how flat Earth gets measured. Me, detailing the exact same thing, can have people like him copyright strike me, other people porn bomb me, other people putting endless complaints into the police, YouTube and social services. Why? Oh, well, because I'm here making the exact same assertions that Wayne makes on the Map channel when he describes how flat Earth gets measured. I get persecuted and censored and struggle. He, with 100,000 plus subscribers, can talk about how boring he perceives his information to, make a revenue stream from it, and then strike me because I've responded to him. Yeah, it's not a fair world, is it? But in detailing how unfair and unjust the world seems from my perspective, it demonstrates weakness. And I hate that. I despise it. There isn't an argument to be had here. I don't need to respond to fart-sniffing fallacy using map channels that measure Earth flat. There's no need to. There is no discussion. Me feeling it's necessitated by a response to an email that he's had from someone else is me demonstrating my own weakness. And it ultimately weakens the argument because there isn't one. What is the argument? That there never was an argument. We're just measuring Earth flat as demonstrated by the millimetre accuracy that someone like Wayne on the Map channel will detail from sea level, an average of a horizontal plane of reference that you can give accuracy to the top of the land when measured perpendicular to said plane of reference with millimetre accuracy that requires unequivocally Earth be measured flat. Because it is. Just go to the map reading channel and you'll see all about it. I accidentally came across him by pure coincidence a couple of days ago when asking Google for images that showed scales for maps. They're flat too, when detailing horizontal linear measurements in miles or kilometres to cross-reference the land, when ignoring topographical changes in altitude that are also measured with respect to a horizontal plane for the differences when describing measured rise over run in horizontal measured distances in miles or kilometres again. The scales on maps are flat, the measurements of the ground are flat, and any deviation in terms of the topology will be detailed from a mile. That's how it works. That's how Earth is measured. Making my discussion, my weakness when it comes to my poverty, which is all that this is induced from. Being poor has led me to be behaving in a weak way. And that annoys me. Annoys me more than the facts in the matter, which are inconsequential to a discussion. There isn't any need to discuss the millimetre accuracy when measuring a flat Earth. Those are just the facts in the matter. So all I'm doing is showing how poverty gets the better of people in ways that you wouldn't imagine. And it leaves me with a frog in my throat. Go ahead, Neil.
Okay, so let's just say hypothetically, you're well-to-do, you're okay, your family's doing okay. How do you respond to that email then?
You don't. What's the point? Why would you respond to an email like that? Somebody comes along and says that, I think you should make videos about magnetic field lines. I think you're boring as fuck. I couldn't give a shit about magnetic field lines. I'd rather make sweet love to my beautiful wife than talk about magnetic field lines. It's boring. You boring fart-sniffing map channel. Now, because Earth and its flatness becomes controversial, you're useful to me. But that doesn't, I've pointed this out all the way through my book. There's various points in my book that I'm describing things like magnetic field lines that boring-ass fart sniffers find really interesting. Like Wayne, so interesting that he felt he needed to contact someone he's put a copyright strike in against. Like, I want to discuss it with you. No, I'd rather break your teeth. But nevertheless, it's important to him because he's a boring fart-sniffing dweeb. So somehow magnetic field lines is really interesting to him. I find you boring. I find magnetic field lines boring. I find directions on compasses boring. It's all boring. Mapping is boring. Now, Earth being flat makes gammas and beta dicks like you think that you can have my channel off me, think that I can have social services sent round or the police. That's what you think. That's how important you find this information. I just find it dull. Very, very dull. Because it is. Heliocentric extrapolation from flat Earth measurement with elevation angles to the star Polaris. Sorry, I fell asleep talking. It's boring. It is. Now, you fucking fart-sniffing dweebs out there who value this information, I'm just going to say it like it is from now on. You're boring. Yeah, you think you're He-Man and Batman and Superman with your stupid logos on your T-shirts. You're just children. You're overgrown 12-year-olds who have invested in shitty information that's worth nothing. You think heliocentric orbital motion has any value in a real world? You're going to monetize that? No. But like I described yesterday, when people divvy out and buy and sell land, they're buying it by a squared value of a linear distance. Those are just facts. Nobody gives a shit about your fart-sniffing dweeby information, but because you've got a nice loud voice on an internet that promotes you, you've deluded yourselves into thinking that you're somehow righteous. You're not. You've attached value to boring information. That's it. Boring information with no value.
You could have said, feel free to join me on my show.
I did say that in my email. Feel free to join me. Then I can monetize as opposed to having the ability to monetize my material threatened by you and your actions. Because, oh my God, I've used your face on a thumbnail. Oh, right, okay. But now you think I want to discuss things with you? No. If you come on my show, though, yeah, I'll absolutely tear a strip off you for a live audience. Then I can monetize it.
Well, has Wayne the map guy contacted you again, Nathan? Sorry, I missed the beginning
after
of the
I conceded. It's like, okay, you're saying in terms of legality, your image justifies a copyright strike for the thumbnail use because he knows he wouldn't get away with it with material. It's fair use. But when it comes to the thumbnail, he's found a little loophole, which I conceded immediately and said I'd remove it. Now, given the fact that I'm not an unreasonable guy and I have to make daily videos that barely top 1,000 views to keep me in ad revenue, do you think I give a shit about some video with his face on it that's got 800 views? No, I'd have absolutely taken it off if it had gone in touch with me, because I'm a reasonable man. But that's not how he went about things. He decided to put my channel in jeopardy with a copyright strike, like 30 other scummy anti-flat earthers have done over the 12 years I've been doing this. Just lowers you to scumbag. Now, I've got an email address I'm not difficult to get in touch with. I absolutely assure you. Even if you were south in Antarctica measuring elevation angles off a flat plane, you could still contact me. People have. But that's not the way Wayne went about things. Yeah? He'd rather put in jeopardy my ability to feed my kids. That's scum. Yeah? Why? Oh, well, because my magnetic field lines. That's what it really boils down to, because that's what he wants to discuss with me after the fact. Or after you got your way about a thumbnail on a video with 800 views. What a wanker.
One deck, it was a back and forth Nathan had. You'll find it in Master B as an email. Nathan went over it during the pre-show.
That's when I'll check it out. But like he replied to me when I was telling him about the south being a horizontal direction. For some reason, he's got this magnetic line is some sort of globe proof. But what's that magnetism got to do with measuring the shape of the Earth? Please tell me that.
No, instead of, I assume it's you he's responding to then when he says one of my subscribers has contacted him about magnetic field lines. Why is he responding to me about this shit? You've contacted him. Why the hell is he contacting me about it? I'm not putting the onus on you to answer that question. It's entirely rhetorical from your perspective, One Deck. I mean, if One Deck is the guy that's contacted you, talk to One Deck about it, not a man you've copyright striked. I mean, are you this stupid, Wayne? Yeah? You think I want to have this conversation with you about your delusional nature when it comes to what North is? Up? No, it's even got a fallacy named after it, you idiot.
It's obvious this subject has hit a nerve.
That's exactly what I was just going to say, Neil.
Yeah, well, me too. Well, if he was attempting to achieve the same, like this has made you uncomfortable, so I'm going to make you uncomfortable about whether or not you can carry on making a living, then that's just scummy. Really, really scummy. Now, I've got an open door to discuss things like magnetic field lines here. I do it daily to make a living. But this man doesn't want me to make a living. He wants to deny me of that. Not contacting me by email, not asking politely. Immediate copyright strike. Well, okay. No, you think I want to converse with you because One Deck's emailing you? Talk to One Deck about my magnetic field lines you think prove North is up. You stupid clown. Not me. Why the hell do you think I would want to talk to you? I'd see the piss on your grave. Measuring the arc of my piss from an elevation angle that's describable from a plane of reference. That's what I'd rather do than discuss magnetic field lines with you. I'll tell you off, because I know damn well I'll take that material and immediately turn it into monetizable content on this channel. Yeah, people become scummy. The minute you challenge their religious belief in a ball that leaves them cognitively dissonant, makes them in some way feel that they've got a justification in attacking me. Like, what the hell are you doing? You think I want your suggestions about what I need to make videos about, do you, Wayne? No, I made you a suggestion. I tell you what, take this as me responding. You've made a suggestion, Wayne from the Mapping Channel, in an email to me personally, that I cover magnetic field lines. Yeah, it's an affirming the consequent fallacy. Yeah? If Earth's a sphere, then it has magnetic field lines. Magnetic field lines, therefore, Earth's a sphere. It's an affirming the consequent fallacy that relies on a begging the question fallacy of Earth's sphericity, when in reality, Earth's sphericity is derived from measurements of elevation angles to derive a radial value to infer sphericity with. There you go, one sentence, on the fly, during a live stream, I've responded. You suggested I should make a magnetic field line response in a video. I have. Now, I've done the same to you. I have suggested that you respond to my diagrammatical example of altitude and azimuth. When you infer that generally North is up, I expect a video response, Wayne. You've kindly suggested that I make a video in your fart-sniffing smug way after copyright striking me, and have responded. I'll repeat my response to your suggestion that I should respond to you and your inference that North is up with magnetic field lines that generally mean North is up. No. Affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. If Earth's a sphere, then we will have magnetic field lines. We have magnetic field lines, therefore Earth's a sphere. That's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy based on the begging the question fallacy, where you, a clown, automatically assumes that you've got an Earth with a spherical R value, derived from, in reality, measurements of a flat plane with elevation angles to Polaris to give you a minimum to infer a circle of equal altitude you will label as equator has a spherical value by conversion. Have a sign being the conversion from the system of latitude and longitude based on elevation angle measurements from a flat Earth to Polaris and the Sun, onto a cylinder, cut out and rolled out flat, causing distortions after the conversion by Haversine to globe and back to cylinder, and then back to flat for a square, flat grid system based on coordinates that are acquired only from flat Earth measurements of navigational positioning data from stars. That is the reality of my response to, well, we've got magnetic field lines. Look how curved they are. Therefore, ball. Retard. I've responded. Now I expect the same from you, given that you thought you could offer me suggestions after copyright striking me. Well, you got what you wanted by way of suggestion. In response, and after my courteous response in rebuttal, I also suggest, as I did in the email response that I've just given you today, respond to my diagram of azimuth and altitude and tell me how magnetic field lines mean generally north is up when it's labelled with the same plane the horizon is on in that diagrammatical example. I expect Wayne, this scumbag anti-flirf, to respond to what I have suggested in the same way I have now responded to what he suggested I do. Okay, Wayne, I look forward to you explaining how generally up is north. No, just so we preemptively understand what a complete dingbat you are. That's north. You get it from a compass, you level. What's that? The needle moves when you've shown it, and who gives a flying fuck? Directionality is two-dimensional. That's north! You don't give a shit what you demonstrate on a level tool that's used to acquire measurements that are described by way of azimuth, horizontal angle descriptions, you stupid moron. Don't breed, okay? You are contributing to the dumbing down of society, Wayne. Meanwhile, I absolutely expect you to respond to what I put to you. That's a diagrammatical example of azimuth and altitude. And specifically, tell me why you feel, incorrectly, in line with the fallacious reasoning you've employed that I've detailed to you also, that north, as diagrammatically represented on a flat plane, is generally up. You clown.
I mean, very, very well said, Nathan. I mean, I was, before you said what you've just said, just going to point out that, yeah, it's a begging the question fallacy, because if you have a quick look at the magnetic lines, you'll get a picture of a globe with red and blue lines around the globe. So he's begging the question of a globe in the first place to even talk about the magnetic field lines, which you've just said perfectly.
There's a super chat from Sasha. If you want to read it out.
Yes, I just respond to One Deck first, though. Yes, absolutely correct. One Deck. You've got to affirm the consequent with a globe. By way of what? Where'd your globe come from? If you're going to show me a diagram of a globe with magnetic field lines, then you're going to need to tell me where you get measurements of a globe. Well, they're elevation angles. They're two-dimensional. Copyright strike for using elevation profile. Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face, says Unitox Femu. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
Well, we have somebody in chat, and he says, Ordnance Survey states their own map scales plotted on their maps are only true scale on two lines. And in parentheses, he has modified transverse Mercator projection, not including other sources of error.
Yeah, transverse projection I've just covered with the globe that comes from a cylinder that comes from a flat plane that's been measured with elevation angles to the Sun and Polaris. It's like, you can summarise your bullshit nonsense that you're trying to use to infer that we've got sphericity. The miles on the maps are measured and are referencing the land topology if you traverse it. They're flat. Miles are flat. They're a linear distance measurement. You want to say that, well, because my maps come from a transverse Mercator projection, that means that the conversion process that's distorting the map, that's come from a cylinder, that's come from a globe, that's come from elevation angle measurements to Polaris and the Sun, means that miles aren't... Miles are still linear, stupid idiot.
So he
Plus on all
says,
maps,
if map flat, therefore Earth flat.
Yes, that's correct. If scales are measured with flat miles on a flat
That's
map
right.
to reference the flat land that we can traverse and reference to the flat maps that have been built with the flat measurements of the flat land that has the details of how much it deviates from flat detailed with respect to miles in a linear distance. So if you're going to describe any deviation from how flat Earth is, you first need horizontal linear miles to derive a difference with. Same applies to Earth curve. If you want to suggest Earth's got a curve, you'll need to derive a squared function from miles that are linear. 8 inches per mile squared, you say. So in order for us to do this calculation, we first need the measurement of miles, and it must hold true as a horizontal linear measurement of the distance over the land topology without referencing any deviation from horizontal for us to square it as a function and infer by calculation that the sphericity. Yeah, we'll need to start with horizontal miles that are measured. Now, if you say they're not measured horizontal, then we won't be able to derive your inference of sphericity with a squared function from them. Oh, you're okay in your acceptance that we've got horizontal linear mile measurements to derive curve with? Then we've got horizontal mile measurements, you bunch of clowns! Meanwhile, we do have horizontal mile measurements. They are horizontal and linear, and we won't be deriving any sphericity from any mile measurements unless you accept how flat they must be. If they're not, you won't be deriving a squared function from them. If they are, then we're measuring Earth flat.
Well said, Nathan. Plus, on every map, there's a 0 degree baseline, and it's that's referencing sea level. Sorry, I mean mean sea level for all elevation profiles on that map. So it starts with a level baseline to start with for all of the measurements to be on that map. It's level, it's flat, and that's the way it's measured. Sorry about that.
Do these people think that by saying, well, what, if miles are measured flat, that makes you think the Earth's flat? It's like, do you think that's a rebuttal? Well, if we measure this horse-shaped, you think that makes it a horse? Well, actually, yes. Absolutely without question. If we are measuring horizontal linear miles with respect to surface, then the surface is measured in horizontal miles. You think that's a rebuttal to put it into an absolute logical consistency of modus ponens? Yeah, we've got a consistency in logic. If we measure it flat, then it's flat. We do measure it flat because it's flat. Yeah, we're measuring it flat. Horizontal linear miles are flat. They do reference the land that has been measured in that format. And any spherical derivation requires it to be the case, you bunch of idiots. Your ball faith relies on it being flat by measurement in miles.
That's correct, Nathan. And let's just finish him out because he says, I just used Nathan's own argument. A flat map can be produced for anything. See, the OS Nathan considers a source of truth. So by Nathan's own standards of affirming the consequences. No, it's not an argument. It's a measurement. That's where he's losing it.
He thinks they're maps and affirming the consequent logical consistency. No, it's based on the measuring the land. They're not affirming the consequent. They're just rolling out measurements and showing them pictorially with a flat scale. The same one that you'll need to infer your sphericity from, you stupid dumbass. If you want to believe in an Earth that's got a curve at 8 inches per mile, then you need that mile to be flat also, you dumbass. Well, is that affirming the consequence? No, you need to get miles. You want to tell me how much curve there is? Oh, well, then first we must accept on all sides of this so-called discussion that miles are flat. You're going to be deriving a squared functionality from them, you stupid clown. So what, you just reject miles? Okay, no 8 inches per mile squared, then we won't accept miles according to you. Not that you're the fucking arbiter of this. You're a wanker YouTube scumbag in a comment section. You're not measuring miles. I think your disagreement with it and pretending that this is somehow a logical consistency when we detail how Earth's been measured, you stupid idiot.
Nathan, you said it beautifully yesterday. If you're going to buy property and say you're buying 35,000 arc feet, Is that how it goes?
No, it's
When you're
it's
buying the
squared. You get a
space?
squared measurement of the land and its topology when you're detailing anything to do with surveying. It's all with respect to miles that are horizontal and linear. And any curve, like a hill, if you're going to describe how much curve in a hill that you get, then you'll describe it with respect to a horizontal distance that you've first got to measure in miles and have remain horizontal to describe the deviation from it. It's called rise over run. It's how we derive miles versus deviation from them. Now you can say, nah, what if miles then flat? Well, yes, that's what they are. That's how they're defined. They're linear and horizontal, and they're used in topographical measurements of Earth's surface and the deviation from them in the vertical. Without it being axiomatically horizontal measurements of Earth's flat surface, we wouldn't be able to describe deviation in feet from sea level with that horizontal principle of Earth measurement in miles. Now you dumb shit in a YouTuber's comment section can deny this all you like. But what it means for you and your ball faith is that you don't have one anymore. What are you going to base your ball faith on? What, you don't want miles to be used in the measurements? Oh, really? So we'll kick out the radius value, the derivation of the 8 inches per mile squared. Well, just kick it all out then. Why the hell are you here? What are you going to base your ball faith on if you're decrying how fucking Earth gets measured in horizontal miles? Yeah, feel free, kick it out. Nobody gives a shit. You're not the arbiter of this stuff, are you? Good. Good job we haven't got numpty betas and gamma dicks, overgrown, fart-sniffing, Batman T-shirt wearing wankers who are dictating to us what a mile is. You have no bearing on this, you stupid clown, but it's very entertaining for my audience to hear me absolutely chastise you for your idiocy that means you must relinquish your own bloody ball faith.
I mean, all he's got to do is look at Google Maps. That demonstrates how flat Earth is. Anybody can just go to Google Maps and look at the 0 degree baseline for all elevation profiles. It's dead easy. Shows it horizontal. It's 0 degrees. That's mapping. It's mapped flat on Google Maps.
And it will remain so regardless of our discussion on the topic. It doesn't matter if we're discussing whether or not it's flat. It is. You know, us constantly having to chastise morons who'd happily give up their own ball faith based on their decriance of how flat Earth must and can only be measured. Right now, well, it'll still be measured flat, though. You know, we will still have horizontal mile scales that are using the concept of miles, which are flat. That'll still be the facts in the matter when it comes to Earth measurement. What's that? Well, if Earth's flat, then we'll measure it flat, and we do measure it flat, but that doesn't mean it really is. Yeah, I mean, you can take that as read if you like. I mean, I don't know how you're going to derive any sphericity from anything in terms of Earth measurement then, but that's fine. I don't give a crap. Me discussing it with you, me disagreeing or agreeing with you is inconsequential when it comes to Earth's actual measurements. There's just fart-sniffing, overgrown 12-year-olds who want to tell themselves that they're smart because they've learned about this stuff, or can tell me that I'm wrong, like they believe I've got some bearing on it. Do you, telling me I'm wrong, in some small way believe that I have some consequence over this fact? Like, if you tell me I'm wrong, it'll change what a mile is. Is that really how delusional you are? You do realise I'm just a YouTuber, right? My purpose in being here is to make videos, not measure Earth in horizontal linear miles that they factually will be regardless of any videos that I make. But you're here telling me I'm wrong? Okay, I think you're barking up the wrong tree somehow, you complete clown. But I will happily point out that you will be relinquishing any said to be evidence of sphericity by derivation, that's calculation, from flat Earth measured miles.
Yeah, there's no getting around it.
Smash the super chat if you want to support this channel. Links below if you want to join me on Patreon. Speaking of which, I submitted all of the Patreon names along with anybody in Master B who said that they wanted to get a recognition or some recognition in the acknowledgement section at the back of the book. So if you come to me, just so we're clear, after today, well, after a week ago when I put this information out, and say, why didn't you mention me in the acknowledgement section? I am very important. I'll be like, I did put out the word multiple times that if you did want any recognition, just let me know. And a couple of people did. So, for example, Stopping Traffic in My Rasta Hat got in touch and was like, I deserve recognition. Now, in this particular instance, I think he was a former Patreon, but wasn't a current Patreon when he asked. And I was like, fair enough, if you want recognition, I'll give it you. And I stuck his name on the end of the list. So it's like, you know, if that person could get in touch and I'll honour their suggestion that they're worthy of recognition, I'll just give it them. It's like, no worries, I'll give you recognition. You know what I mean? Stopping the traffic in my Rasta hat, if you're out there listening. Flick to the back of my book and you will see your name there. No worries. I mean, admittedly, you
That's
were...
old school.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
I disagreed with his justification. His justification was that he and Anthony Riley had come up with relative density disequilibrium. I'm like, no, I think you'll find that was Archimedes. What are you talking about? But if you want to suggest that's the reason for recognition, I'm not going to accept that. But you only had to ask. I was literally putting the word out that if you wanted recognising, I would recognise you. No problem at all. You didn't have to justify it by suggesting that you came up with the Archimedes principle, but that's how he justified it. Now, I just brushed that under the carpet. I'm like, no, fair enough. For whatever reason, you want some recognition, and I'm more than happy to give it you. But my point is that if you come to me after the fact and go, why haven't you? I'll go, well, you just needed to ask, and I would have given it you.
The only recognition is if you've been on the show and you've been here for years and you're part of it. Fine. Don't say you came up with freaking relative density disequilibrium. I mean, that's just silly. But that's what people think. They think that you want all the arguments and that it's going to go down in history as Nathan Oakley formed all these arguments. Well, now we're saying that they're redundant, and there's only one housekeeping question that makes sense. Is there any way to measure Earth anything other than flat? That's it.
No, there's not. But you know, if you want, like that one guy sounded like he was in pain, right? And if you want to imagine it's curved, I can tell you how to do it, right? Get your two theodolites, set them up about, I don't know, 500 feet apart. Measure your eye level from, you're probably at a height from the plane of reference at about 6 feet, and measure that parallel eye level to the other theodolite, and you'll notice a slight drop in the height. And if they're both at the same elevation above the plane of reference, and you have a slight change in your measured elevation above the plane of reference, that means it's a sphere. Okay?
I nicked that. You summarised that in one of the editing sessions where you said levels deviating from level at the rate of level. Why wouldn't it be? I completely stole that and stuck it in the book.
But that's what they're doing, though. Constantly.
Shout out to Roger Ledwell, who gifted one membership. Thank you very much indeed. Didn't we have a video that we were supposed to cover yesterday? Something about squashing maps or something like that?
Yes, I'll get it. I'll put it back up. It's a short one, so I think it'll be good to cover. Give me 1 second.
There's also another one that Wandex supplied that's about Alberuni.
Oh, no.
I mean...
Hold on. Michael Kahn. He's been around for a while. He just wants you to read this.
I may not actually be able to share the audio for the video. I've forgotten to change my sound settings. I will try and change them on the fly, but it may not be successful. So if everything goes wrong...
Well, why don't we do like a countdown game, right? And like he's allowed 5 mentions of flat Earth before we turn off the video.
It's in Master B now. It's in Master B now.
I think that's entirely reasonable. You know, you measure Earth flat 5 times to try to assert it's a sphere. You know, it should be stopped.
Yeah, you're going to get a kick out of this one if Nathan plays it.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out if I can. Just give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves while I try and load up a...
But they've done that.
That's what I was trying to do, Nathan.
What am I trying to do? Well, rather than having my sound local so that my kids and wife can use it to play Netflix and Disney movies, I have to change the sound settings at the beginning of the show so that I can reroute audio for any website or whatever into the OBS so it can go out to the audience. However, because I forgot to change that setting, it may not be the case that it will actually come through. I'm just going to test that now. So if you could just let me know from the, what's it called? Can you hear that?
A more reliable and sophisticated method for estimating the Earth's size was needed. And 2 centuries after El Ma'mun died, it came.
Do you hear that?
Here.
Yes.
Do you guys hear that in Discord? And if you can let me know from the chat, can you hear it in the live audience? If so, we will cover this video.
Yes, we can hear it both, Nathan.
Oh, it came through to the audience. Oh, I've never managed to make that work on the fly. Wicked. That's a first. Awesome. Okay, let's just try.
Thank you to Squarespace for supporting PBS. In February 1544, a man...
Hey, is this the one you want to cover today, yeah?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, let's bring it up. That's it. You all see that okay?
Yes.
sits inside a cell, inside a stone fortress in what is today Belgium, imprisoned by the Inquisition. Several of his fellow prisoners have already been burned at the stake.
Wow, this is gruesome. What is this? What's this? What is it exactly? Can someone let me know?
It's when they locked up, I guess, Galileo and them.
Okay, well, keep me on screen so they can't put a copyright strike against me.
Beheaded, buried alive. The charge against him is not for treason or rebellion. He's been charged with heresy for studying things that the church had decided were not meant to be studied, for asking forbidden questions about the world. His name was Gerardus Mercator. And 25 years later, in spite of all of that, he published this. This is the most famous map in history. You've seen it in classrooms. It's a map most of us still use every day.
Yeah, it's the transverse Mercator.
And YouTube is full of videos explaining all the ways that this map is wrong, all the ways that it distorts reality. I mean, Greenland is as big as Africa, Europe dominating the view. Whatever's going on with Antarctica down here.
So why are we covering this?
Because Michael Kahn suggested it, and he's one of your Patreons.
Was this the one that we were going to cover in this particular slot where he's talking about squashing the map? Is this what it is?
Yes.
What?
This was never meant to be the map that we use for everything. It wasn't made to be hung in a classroom. It was built to solve one of the hardest problems of the age of exploration. And for that one thing, this map is a masterpiece. But this is a video about something else, because there's an even more fascinating mystery hiding in Mercator's map. Building this map should have been mathematically impossible, because it requires mathematics that didn't exist yet, and that wouldn't be invented until half a century after Mercator.
But it isn't a map to do with measurements, really. It's
That's what I was going to say. Measurements wasn't created yet?
Published his
That's what
map.
you do.
So
Good.
Okay, it's okay.
So how did he do it, and why? This is the story.
Can Finish Ultimate Plus clean all this?
Is that a well-timed advert or what?
Well, like you're talking about mapping, we all know maps and the measurement of the Earth is from sea level. Latitude corresponds to elevation angles from the 0 degree baseline called sea level to and from Polaris. What you do after that with your mathematics and calculations is irrelevant, really. It's measured flat in the first instance, always.
Best, worst map ever made. Hey smart people, Joe here. I want to start with the problem that map was built to solve, because it was a real...
Did he say dat map? Did I hear him correctly? Dat map
First,
with a D.
first he said smart people, then he said dat map.
Problem, and it was killing people. In the 14 and 1500s, explorers were sailing into uncharted ocean, places that no European had ever seen, let alone mapped. And when you're in the...
Excuse me. When they was doing that, they would have had like astrolabes, sextants, quadrants, to measure the elevation angle to the stars to find their position on the ocean. Yeah, that's an elevation angle measurement using sea level. So the map can be nothing more than flat and level.
Yeah, I was just about to conclude with that. In other words, all of the methodologies utilised at the time were all flat, as are the maps that he's showing on screen now.
Were the nautical almanacs that? Oh, did they have nautical almanacs then?
Yes.
So for as long as you've had a nautical almanac, however that long is, they have always pointed to coordinates decided by the second in advance of every star, every navigation star. You can't separate the two. You can't separate maps from the nautical almanac.
Middle of the Atlantic, no GPS, no radio, no satellites. Figuring out where you are is sort of a matter of life and death. This is the...
I'm just going to say at this point, right, when he says that this is a matter of life and death, when we're talking about the principles of mapping, measuring Earth as a flat planar surface, utilisation of elevation angles, derivations of circles of equal altitude, all of these concepts, as he just put it, can save your life. Mean you don't die. Just in juxtaposition, imagine now the heliocentric assertion that based on a mile measurement being unequivocally horizontal and linear, you can derive a distance to a geometric tangent point horizon that boats fall over. And ask yourself, where's that put into practical use? The assertion that we've got a geometric horizon derived from flat Earth measurements of altitude off sea level and flat Earth linear horizontal mile measurements. Where is that used to do anything beyond brainwashing idiot overgrown 12-year-olds with Batman logos on their shirts? Where's it used? What's it for? And the answer is, it isn't. It's only used to brainwash overgrown 12-year-old fart-sniffing dweebs, betas and gamma cucks into believing that they're on a sphere and ignoring the horizontal linear flat Earth measurements in miles, or in the case of some of my chat skanks, denying that as well, even though their religion's based on it. Meanwhile, mapping, flat, save your life at sea, with flat Earth elevation angles and derivations of angle measurements to acquire positional information at the GP of stars, as pointed out by Flat Earth Daddy, is done by the second, with arc measurements from surface level. That's what we measure Earth as, that's a flat plane, in order to have these systems even exist. So you don't die when at sea navigating.
You're right there, Nathan, because you read these books and learn about celestial navigation. None of them are saying, well, we're going to look out at the horizon, we're going to get our height off sea level and times it by 1.22 squared of my height above sea level to work out the distance to the horizon so we know where that curve is so we don't fall over it.
Just in case we might fall over it when we get to it. Yeah, we need to be very cautious of falling over the edge of a globe. So we need to definitely calculate where it is. No, nobody's ever done that. It's not actually useful. Nobody's falling off the edges of balls. It's ludicrous. It's not used for anything.
The most accurate map of the Earth. I finally get to use that in a video. Problem is, this is pretty useless for navigation. Let's say I want to sail from Lisbon, Portugal to New York. If I want to find the shortest route, I can do this. Notice that even though these two cities are at basically the same latitude...
So what's latitude? You mean the horizontal measured planar angle acquisition from Polaris? Latitude, surface level, angle to star. That's Polaris. So based on how we measure Earth flat to develop this system, if you're using that system in conjunction with the ball that you've got in your hand, then you need to reference the glorified protractor that has the latitude lines superimposed atop the map. That system only functions from within a ball, never on the ball, as you've just described it with this piece of string. What we do is this. Measure from within a glorified protractor from a plane. That's where you get latitude from. But you obviously haven't done very much primary source research, because here's you putting pieces of string over the top of the arc of the protractor you used to measure latitude with. That's idiotic.
The shortest path actually curves kind of north. That's because...
Curves what now? Curves north.
Yeah.
Sorry, curves north. That's north. That's south. What the bloody hell are you babbling on about? You think things curve with respect to a horizontal planar directionality? This is stupid. This man is idiotic. What's he babbling about? Does he not know the words that are coming out of his own mouth? Clearly not. Go ahead, whoever that was.
I think that was
I
everybody.
don't know how to
Said
use a
curve.
compass.
Go on, Christian.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I mean, how simple can it be? This guy doesn't know how to use a God blessed compass with its horizontality and 2D directionality and the degrees that you're going to get from it, from the horizontal plane of reference, and its horizontal angles and board elevation angles from polar. Oh my God.
It's like he doesn't understand any of it, isn't it?
This is how it's been, though, hasn't it? We've spoke about this other shows. We've all skipped past it. We've all double spoke. Oh, well, not so much us, but there's a lot of double speak, isn't there? They're saying one thing and meaning another, using worded terminology that means horizontal and flat and isn't nothing to do with curves. And they tie the two things together, and nobody notices. We notice now, but people listen to this who haven't got a clue will just think, "Oh yeah, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about."
straight lines on a sphere are...
Sorry, straight lines on a sphere.
Oh, here we go with Andrew Johnson again. Oh, here we have 3 straight lines on a globe. Are you delusional, Muppet? What the hell is wrong with you?
Curves. The shortest path between 2 points on the globe is curved.
You're never on a globe. When you're deriving this functionally, it is done from within. Oh my God, do I have to show a different diagrammatical example of exactly that? Seems I do, clearly. Why I'd have to educate this person, he's presumably got a lot more subscribers than I. Why am I having to do his primary source research for him? See this? This is you describing how you measure angles with respect to a planar surface. There's 2. One is called the equatorial plane. The other, derived from the movements of the sun, is called the celestial plane, extended out from vernal equinox. In other words, the globe only works on a single day when these 2 systems coincide, derived from flat Earth measurements of the lights in the sky, for the navigation principles that you'll put coordinate system together on a Cartesian grid. Never on a globe. The globe is just the glorified protractor used to derive the latitude system with, and it functionally only ever works like this. Inside a bifurcated glorified protractor where you stand in the center to allegedly make a measurement from in hell if you infer sphericity to the surface that you're not measuring from. Latitude, when described globally, is from the center, making the surface that's got a map on it not the surface that you are measuring from. It's a glorified protractor. That's what the latitude lines are. They've got a little degree symbol next to each of them. You'd think that would give the game away. Clearly not. You think you want to measure the distance on the arc of the protractor used to make the latitude system. That's stupid. That's just idiotic.
Not straight. And we call these great circle routes because they always fall on circular paths positioned around Earth's center.
Oh, really? So when you're talking about areas of equal altitude, the great circles, they're inside the ball? Well, how many people are measuring from inside a ball now? No, we're not. We're measuring from a planar surface. These circles are derived from altitude angles measured off a planar surface to the lights in the sky. That's how we measure them. Nobody's referencing the inside of a ball. Nobody's inside a ball. We can be inside the arc of a protractor we measure the sky with, though.
These routes are easy to calculate and follow today with GPS.
We're not interested in what you calculate, you complete clown. No, measurements of latitude, measurements of longitude, measurements of the circle of equal elevation you need to be representative of the equator. That's the equatorial plane. Measurements of the surface level used to infer a celestial plane. These are measurements. Why are you talking about calculations? No one gives a shit about what you calculate. Earth's measured flat.
Yes, computers and everything,
now,
but
which requires a 2D reference, grid reference. Yeah, and it works on the same principle as celestial navigation, where you've got your 3 circles of equal elevation and radius lines to find the person's ground position on Earth. So that's how the GPS works. Nothing to do with curve.
to follow this curve route on a ship, you'd need to constantly recalculate.
Go ahead.
That was John.
Yeah, John.
I didn't say anything. I was laughing. I'm sorry. I didn't say nothing, though.
He's about to talk about a compass.
Your compass heading every few hours. And on
Sorry, did you just draw a compass vertically at the edge of a 45-degree position on a ball that's derived from flat Earth measurements of latitude? Is that what you just drew diagrammatically out for your audience? Don't breed. You are assisting in the dumbing down of humanity. You, sir, when you do such idiocy, when you diagrammatically misrepresent the way that a compass works. A compass isn't vertical at a 45-degree angle to a ball-shaped surface. Have you never used a compass? Did you think that diagrammatical example made sense when you edited it together or approved it from an editor that you were paying? Did you think that made sense? No, that's not how a compass works, you complete idiot. A compass is flat. It represents azimuth with degree measurements. It's perpendicular to a plane, perpendicular to the vertical, not vertical. You've drawn it vertical. That's idiot. That's just stupid. What are you doing? Why are you dumbing down society with this crap?
on a moving wooden ship in the middle of the Atlantic without a calculator and using 16th century math, that was basically impossible. Plus, do you know how much rum these guys were drinking?
Impossible? So you didn't think that the expansion of the known worlds happened? You're just denying history then? Crackpot? No, it definitely was possible. They expanded the known territories. Hello? Oh, but they drank a lot of rum, so therefore what? They didn't expand the known worlds? Yeah, they did.
If only there was a way that sailors could just set their compass.
Sorry, is this how you think a compass works? Sorry, are you a crackpot? Is this what you do with a compass? Do you have compasses in a vertical orientation? You stupid man. No, this is not how a compass works. I mean, maybe you align with idiots like Wayne from the Mapping Channel, who thinks that generally north is up when utilising fallacious reasoning. That's not only wrong, it's got a name of a fallacy named after it. You can think that. North is not up. That's idiotic. You need to level a compass with respect to the planar surface. You'll measure the directionality in an azimuth with a little degree symbol on it. Now that is unequivocally flat and planar. You have to level a compass for it to function. You think you can plonk it on a diagrammatical example of a ball that's been derived from flat Earth elevation angle measurements of Polaris and flat Earth elevation angle measurements of the Sun on a single day, vernal equinox, and infer that a compass needs to be diagrammatically represented vertically. Like I say, don't breed. You're dumbing down humanity.
Compass to one angle and follow that bearing without touching it.
A bearing? But bearing like the two-dimensional azimuth described in a degree? On a compass? You know, what you've got diagrammatically isn't representing what you could describe as being a bearing. You are an idiot. Why do we have these idiots making these videos? I would assume that this guy's got, of course he's got 5.7 million subscribers. Yeah, he's being used as a tool to dumb down society, isn't he? There's no other explanation for it. He's got 5.7 million subscribers who are watching this utter tripe. Completely wrong. Diagrammatically idiotic. Shite. And he's got 5.7 million subscribers from it. You, sir, are a tool. A tool for making the world more stupid.
Well, it would be much easier and safer, even if it wasn't the shortest route. On a globe, that path looks like this.
We don't measure maps globally. You started off by disclaiming that you can't do this, but now you're doing it. Give him 5.7 million subscribers.
Notice that every time it passes a vertical line of longitude...
Right, vertical, longitude, elevation angle measurement to the sun much? Sorry, why are you doing this? You don't know the words coming out of your own fucking mouth.
It crosses at the same angle.
Angle? Sorry, do you know what angle is? You've got on screen bent lines crossing each other and you're describing them as two straight lines meeting at a vertex. You are dumb. Like, you can't see it for what it isn't. It's not an angle, you stupid crackpot.
Set your compass bearing 1.
What? You mean level the tool so you can acquire an angle with a degree measurement on an azimuth that is unequivocally flat? That sort of use of a compass. Yeah, you've just shown it vertically though, you fucking retard. How am I going to do that based on your diagrammatical example of it working outside the confines of this globe that defined itself by the elevation angle measurements to the sun and Polaris? You're just working outside of your own conventions and then somehow cherry picking the flat ones that don't apply. What are you doing?
Here, and you get where you want to go.
You never get where you want to go from a globe. Ever. You disclaimed that at the start of this shite, didn't you? So what are you babbling about?
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
No, completely and utterly impossible and never done by anybody ever. What you've done is utterly incorrect and bastardizes and works outside of the conventions, deriving the very systems that you're bastardizing. You complete clown. Give him 5.7 million subscribers.
This kind of path is called a rum line. R-H-U-M-B. Not like rum, like they were drinking on the ships all the time.
I'm going to conclude it there. Is anything anybody wants to add to this particular video? I'm going to round out the live stream.
No, I think we know where it's going. We've heard what he said. He's explaining how Earth's measured flat, and then trying to explain why it looks odd on a globe, of begging the question globe.
Any other comments? No? Okay, fair enough.
Is he saying they're drinking rum or rum line?
Rum line, I-H-U-M-B.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any other comments? Is that it? No? Fair enough. With that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
Well, this guy's something's like triggering him, and we know what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr.
He's
Super Chat.
realizing it. That's what's happening.
Mr. Super Chat from Untox Femu. Sorry, Sasha. Having globe in hands is advantages for logic. Okay, thank you for the Super Chat. Sorry I didn't chat it out on the live show.
Still ain't catch up though, Sasha.
Well, that's good. Shout out to, who is it you said provided that?
Michael Kahn sent it to me a few days ago.
Thank you, Michael Kahn.
Like I say, it's trouble in videos. He just, he's got a big globe in front of him and he's just coming out with nonsense. But a lot of normal people, college heads, school kids, watching that, just thinking the guy is obviously, and then looking at the boat going over the curve and the curve lines over the globe.
Yep.
And not knowing that it's just all come from elevation angle measurements from sea level to the stars. And then just can wrap round a ball, and then you've got distortion. I wonder why we've got distortion. Well, it was measured flat, and now we want to turn it into a ball. That's why we've got distortion, kids.
Oh, it seems like they use it when it's because they have to use it, but they hide it pretty well. Because we missed it for years. Let's be for real.
Yep. Yeah. And like when you do point out to someone that a compass is and south and using a compass is a horizontal direction, like the mapping guy, he automatically thinks that's absurd, and laughing at you. But then when you drill down a little bit and send him some factual information about the cardinal directions on a compass, and it must be held horizontal, parallel to the plane that you're navigating. That's not me making that up. That's just the fact. He doesn't like that fact of the matter.
Right.
So he's maybe looked at that now, because that's probably something that's never crossed his mind, that actually using his compass does require a flat Earth. Well, no, it can't be that. It must be something to do with the magnetic field lines, obviously. So he's digging deep now for some other explanation, because, all right, we hold it horizontally and parallel to the plane, but that's just because the magnetic field lines are in play.
That's why I like the diagram Nathan sent them. That's perfect. But they hide things in plain sight. Like they did this thing where there was a gold coin, right? And they hid it in a house, right? I guess where it was. They tore this freaking house apart. It was right on the freaking kitchen table with a newspaper right on top of it. Nobody ever thought to lift up the newspaper. And it's right there.
Yeah, right in front of your nose.
And it's the same thing with the measurements. It was always right there. We never thought about lifting up the newspaper a little bit and saying, wait a second, sea level. It's over right there, mate.
Yep. You can talk about maps as much as you want, like the guy in the chat was chatting before. If you look at the map, it's got the 0 degree horizontal baseline. It's called sea level. Sorry, I mean mean sea level. Yeah, that's what we're using. Talk about distortions and all that bollocks as much as you want. We are using a horizontal baseline on all maps. Might not like that, but that's just the way it is. You don't need to go any further than that. It's the starting point for the map is level. Yeah. If you had no information of the mountains or the valleys, right, you'd start off with the horizontal line across the page being sea level, and it's horizontal and level. Then you'd think, well, I've got a mountain over there. I'll just put the mountain in, and then you could get the mountain's height using an elevation angle from the level up to the peak of the mountain. Do some triangulation and trig. You can do, and you can get slopes. Rise over run from the level line that you've just drew across the page for your starting point for all your measurements, called sea level. Sorry, mean sea level. So it's over right there. The party is over.
For some, for others, it's just starting. Like for the map guy, the party is just starting, my friend.
It's just branched into anti-flat earthism, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah, my magnetic field lines means it's a ball. No, they don't.
Therefore, it's curved. It must be curved.
Yeah, because when you look at a picture, the magnetic field lines are spherical. So obviously they are. after measuring Earth flat.
Yeah, the only reason we're talking about magnetic field lines is because we've directly translated them into a convention that we use traversing the surface. That convention is directionality, and it is flat. Now, to affirm the consequent and suggest that because there's magnetic field lines, and I automatically assumed that they are directly connected to a ball-shaped magnet, why? What is it that gives you the idea we've got a ball-shaped magnet? We've got one, and therefore we've obviously got field lines that have come from that magnet. And because we've got those field lines coming from that magnetic that's ball-shaped, the world must be ball-shaped. Like, literally, this is just an affirming the consequent fallacy. Where'd you get your ball-shape from? Well, we derived it from latitude. We derived it from Al-Biruni. We got it from Eratosthenes. All right, so 3 flat Earth measurements then. Okay, so we have to accept that we can measure Earth flat for these measurements to turn into calculations of a ball then. So the measurements are flat, but the calculations of a ball mean it's justifiable that you can affirm the consequent with a ball-shaped magnet. No, meanwhile, the directions are just flat, though. They are referencing azimuth. Go ahead.
They didn't get a globe. They did not get their globe from Al-Biruni or Eratosthenes, that's for sure, because they were measuring it flat. They turned it into one, but at the start, they were measuring it flat.
Yep, always been measured flat. Like I keep saying, the levelness was there first of all for us to then go forth and do future measurements from sea level. We already had the level plane. We didn't make the level plane, or it was already created on this Earth, and it's got an average levelness called mean sea level. Yeah, across all the oceans across the Earth. And that's the level 0 degree baseline you'll find on all mapping to measure everything else from. Simple as that.
Well, if you want to take it to, let's say, the creator's standpoint, right? According to the Bible, it says that the earth came up out of the water, right? So if you're talking about up, that can only be from a horizontal plane of reference. And that's where everything starts from. That's what everything gets built from. That's why you have cities. That's why you have towns. That's why you have shopping malls, right?
Yeah, up is perpendicular to a plane. If you're describing in the most literal, visualizable way the ground coming up, then you can imagine pillow lava coming up in the Hawaiian Islands from the sea to create topographical, measurable land that's measured with respect to its altitude from the sea level as it rises up from it, physically being created under the sea level, then at the sea level, and then above the sea level, all of which is measurable with respect to the sea level. That's how we measure land. So if we've got new land, really, how much of it? Oh, we'll measure it in square miles. And, right, well, that's got a reference curve. No, we can measure that. The deviation of the topology with respect to the sea level will be our altitude from sea level that we measure on the square miles. But the altitude has to be with respect to the horizontal plane of reference to begin with. That's how we measure the ground coming out of the sea in biblical terms and in literal terms.
Nathan, you know how you use that when they discovered new lands? Right?
Yes.
I remember back in the day, I heard somebody, I went on to Earth Awakenings yesterday, and somebody was using that. And they blew this freaking kid's mind. Whoever this kid was, Denny, I invited him to come to our show because he seemed sincere, like he was just getting blown away by everything because he was talking about aliens. So somebody used your freaking little spiel that you do that at one time there was. And they traveled past the horizon and they found new lands. Blew this freaking guy away. Hopefully he'll come in.
Now, I'm pretty sure they were all drinking rum and no new lands were found. Give him 5.7 million views.
Yeah, but blew the kid away. He was like, oh, wait a second. Oh, my gosh. It's not making sense to me now.
That's in the book too. It's in the chapter called The Offing, which very specifically goes through the discovery of new lands beyond the horizon in an area that was formerly described as being outer space, where we found the new lands. Now, those new lands have got what we still to this day describe as foreigners, as being aliens. That's what the term means.
Yeah,
Now,
but the guy, because I said something about it. Right? I said, well, if we're able to really explore the land, you may find aliens. And that's when somebody jumped in and went through your whole thing. I was like, so somebody's paying attention.
Yeah, but there's no more land to find. We've got the globe and all that's been measured and everything. We know all the continents of where they are. So let's go and venture out into the upper space and discover what's up there. Never mind the ground we're standing on. That's all been sorted out, Neil.
Poor Truman. All he wanted to do was be an explorer. Forget it. It's all been discovered. Yeah, classic.
no, I'm pretty sure they were all drunk and none of them made it back.
Well, it says that the almanac was 1400. I had it up before. Yeah, 1457 in Vienna. So whatever timeline this video was, they had an almanac. If it was after that date, which I think it was.
Yeah. So they had all them GP coordinates back then.
Yeah, and how do we know what we've been told that he thought he was going to fall off the edge? These are stories we were told, right? Can somebody give me some primary source evidence that that's what Christopher Columbus feared? Or am I being told that?
Yeah, that's just a story, isn't it, mate? Yeah.
Yeah, these Globers want an edge. Remember yesterday, the guy was like, Neil deGrasse Tyson, you want flat Earth? No, no, I think these Globers want that edge. So I know how we can get it. Let's make it up in history.
Yeah, there are no worries. Yeah, you just keep replacing so-so stories with more so-so stories, then everything will just be fine. And they'll just keep their zealotry and keep up with their vindictive, petulant children garbage, just like demonstrated today.
Yes.
Earth measured flat.
Yeah, people are still coming in the chat, throwing some, hailing some stones, but these are people that are just in pain that can't comprehend what a measurement is. They want to take you into logic. I don't think this has anything to do with logic. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it's not a logical consistency, not an if and then statement. It's just measurements. It's a what is of the aspect of Earth, the Earth being measured flat from the antecedent of the Earth being a horizontal plane.
Then you had a guy come in and say, Well,
Yeah,
you
go for
have
it.
any science to back that? Science.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too. Yeah, Mr. Science Research. Are you bat crap insane in a category error of cause and effect relationships of observed natural phenomenon having anything to do with how we measure the Earth? No, we just measure the Earth flat.
Well, that was how that's how they did it, though. That's how, they put it into the science category for some reason. Very
Oh, yeah,
clever.
the parlor trick. Go ahead, bro.
I know what. We'll teach geography and social studies for you Americans. We'll teach geography and science. There you go. Earth's a globe. One day we'll get it when they have colonies on Venus, and we're going back and forth. I was hit with was that appeal to the future fallacy?
Yep.
Within 50 years, you'll see.
Yeah, you just got to believe. Have you imagining the final frontier for years to come?
Have you heard anything from Chuck? I'm sure you haven't, because he would have told us.
Nah, not yet. I'll start chasing him next week. He only got it this week, Monday.
Yeah, right. That's what you set a date. Oh, I don't hear from him in a week. Then I'm gonna have to chase him and say, "Hey, what's going on?" And just people are very excited about it. There's a lot of them that I'd say at least 10 people. There's been more, but it's slowed down. But I've counted at least 10 people are like, "What's going on?" I told him, I said, "It's out of Nathan's hands now. Now we're just, waiting for when we can purchase it." Basically, right?
Yeah, basically. Up close. Got our neighbour's dog with us. My girls are very excited about this.
Yeah, and it's great that you got that, because you don't have no responsibility. Here's a dog for the day. Not me. I got the dog 15 years. Bleeding out of his side. I got to treat it every day because he's got some growth coming out of him. Oh, man. That's it. This is the final dog in the Cosentino clan. Never again.
We've never been able to have a dog. We live in an apartment that it's against the rules of the lease, and the only reason my neighbour's allowed to have a dog is because she's got a medical exemption, because he's a support dog.
Oh, yeah, so is this. I'm not supposed to have a pet here. And the thing is, if I get found out, I'm babysitting the pet. Like, I'm going to make believe I'm you. Not you, but I'm actually babysitting, puppy sitting. But, yeah, I'm not supposed to have one on a lease. It's on a lease. You can't have a pet.
Oh, really? You're in the same boat?
Yeah, but I mean, what am I going to do? We moved here. We already had the dog for 10 years. What am I going to do? Just let him go? So if they do find out, I'm just watching the dog from my brother.
Yeah, my letting agent says I'm not allowed to have a pet, but I became quite friendly with the landlord, and he said he doesn't care.
Well, you know what it is, Len? And you can't blame a lot of the landlords, because some people have these huge freaking dogs, and cats, they don't have to be huge, but they destroy shit. I got to repair a carpet tomorrow for this guy that's hopefully fixing my AC in my car. We're going to do the border thing because he's broke and I'm broke. But his dog destroyed the freaking carpet.
Yeah.
And they're coming to do an inspection, so I got to, piece it together for him.
When I started working in a shop in Solihull, a hi-fi shop, the manager had just left, and he was living above the shop in the apartment that they had. And he had about a dozen cats. And the owner of the shop, not the manager who was living above it, was unaware, let's just say, that he was leaving these cats to roam free in this house, in this apartment, right? So he leaves and goes to work for Tag McLaren, and the flat had to be cleared out. And you walked in, and I swear to God, it nearly knocked you out, like nearly floored you in terms of the absolutely revolting smell that came out. And it was so pungent that, like I say, it almost sent you unconscious because it was so potent. And you're like, how the hell do you come home of a night and A, not notice, and B, live with it in that state with all these cats pissing on? They must have been pissing on everything.
Nathan, I literally changed I took this lady's carpet out who had 20 cats. And I mean, I was desperate for money at the time. I do remember it now that you bring it up. It was bad. I had to go in there in basically a hazmat suit and freaking cut it up in 3-foot strips and roll it up. But the smell, oh my God. I don't think there was a spot they missed in the entire house.
Yeah, that's how it seemed in this apartment, but it was all over the furniture. It was on everything. So everything that was in the building, in that space, had to be removed. Everything. All soft furnishings, all of the curtains, everything had to be stripped out. Because it was like it had fumigated the entire space. So it didn't matter. If you just cut the carpet out and left the curtains, it would still smell the same.
Right. She changed everything too. And what I had to do, because even when you had it up and aired out for a day and mopped it out, the wood floors with bleach, it still smelled. So I had to get some sealer, like a latex sealer, seal the whole floor, and then patch over it with this patch called Ardex. It's a thin, use it to, it's a very good patch. I mean, you use it and it seals up, but that's the only way to get rid of the smell. You basically had to seal it and patch over it. But yeah, it was bad. Ooh, disastrous. And cat urine is different than dog urine. I don't care what you say.
Yeah. Anyway, we're privileged to have a sausage dog with us today because, like I say, we get to have an exemption because our neighbours has got an exemption because she's got a medical dog, or whatever you call it, a support dog.
My brother has 2 of those dogs.
Sausage dogs? Yeah.
Well, are they the ones that got all the hair? Because there's some that have very fine hair, and the other ones, the Dachshunds, have the longer hair.
No,
My
this
brother
one's
has
very
2 of
short
those.
haired. Short head.
So it's the one from Toy Story.
Yes, you got it. Yeah, the dog from Toy Story.
But you know what's going to happen with that? There's going to come a point where they get attached, and they're going to want their own dog, Nathan.
Well, like I say, they can't have one.
I always got suckered into the Christmas gift, and we'll take care of the dog. We'll do everything, which lasts for maybe a week or 2. Maybe.
Yeah, my folks, when they had dogs, both of them that I can remember came from one of the kids, or in the case of the other dog, it was from my sister's now deceased husband at the time. And they just end up being palmed off on the elders, if you will, my folks in this instance. So they ended up with 2 dogs, neither of which they chose to have. Yeah, it's nice having a dog temporarily, especially when you can give it back. I mean, they might have a dog if the book does really well. Maybe I'll end up getting a house. I doubt it. But one can dream.
I put something in Master B. You probably can't play it because it's a Sebastian Maniscalco clip. but it's his little thing on dogs when he was growing up. His father would tell him, "You want a dog? Then down the block, the neighbor has one. Go pet that dog."
Yeah, exactly. We can't afford a dog, and we wouldn't be allowed one even if we could. But like I say, that might change. Things might pick up now that I've finally got, or will have very shortly, a second revenue stream. Hopefully.
What do you mean, hopefully? You finished editing it. It's the book's coming out. So what do you mean, hopefully?
Well, I mean, it might not be well received. There might be, I don't know. It can't automatically assume that it's going to be a means to generating a decent revenue. It might not. It might, come out. It might sell a dozen copies and then never sell again. You just don't know.
Yeah, okay. I got a dozen people on my own that want the book. The people on the panel that are going to get it. Listen, it's the promotion. Let's get the thing out where people could buy it so you could promote it.
Yep. Well, I'll be more enthused when I'm actually on that train. So when I'm sending out emails with press releases about its availability there and then, obviously that gives me the main thing that I want out of it, which is the ability to go on other people's shows and justify my being there. Not just have me on because I talk about this stuff and I've become a subject matter expert. But you can buy the subject matter expertise in the format of this book that's available for sale, and everybody can relate to that. People, generally speaking, know that when somebody gets a book out, they want to go out and tour it and talk about it and promote it. So it's a legit reason to be in touch with people.
Right. And that guy yesterday, the translator, he was saying that he had people that would want to interview you. That's beautiful. Right?
Yeah.
And you get into them Spanish-speaking countries. What's that one where there's a ton of flat earthers? I forgot which one. Brazil, maybe? Could be wrong. But it's,
Nation.
yeah, they're thousands of flat earthers there.
Yeah. Counted as having, a big, quote unquote, flat earth population.
Right. And you got Flat Arthur. Now, he's in India. If you get it translated into that language, now he's going to promote your book. Flat Arthur's a good dude.
I was thinking about it yesterday when you were talking about translations to Spanish and German, but my Hindi is not that good. I'm not very good with the Hindi grammar, but of course it can be done. I can give it a shot.
Well, I mean, I'm not suggesting you should necessarily convert it into Hindi. I'm just saying that should somebody you end up being acquainted with who is, doing that or has that as a skill set, Arthur, not necessarily you, but just it's 1 or 2 degrees of separation. That is to say, you read it and describe it on your show in your native language to other people, and someone goes, "Oh, right, so you'd need a translator." I can do that. And then if it was to be translated, I can then get it in the same format on the site, just in a different language. That is to say, I can then offer all the same things to someone like yourself and say, well, you can have a link to it and the Hindi version that, should it sell via your link, which is the most likely scenario, you'd get the revenue stream from it. Same goes for the translator. It's like, well, I can't pay you, I'm poor as shit. But what I can do is, upon receiving the translation, get it published and get you as part of the affiliate program, earning the exact same amount that I earn anyway. So you can get 30% out of its sale should your link result in somebody buying your translated version. So in other words, everybody feels like they're being equally compensated, when in this instance somebody is, via yourself, not necessarily yourself, translated it into a different language, in this case Hindi or German or Spanish. French.
Okay, let me read it first and see whether I like your book or not.
Well, that's in sincerity what I would suggest, because you'll be far more motivated to just even air this in a discussion point when you're making your videos, if you like it. Now, there's plenty of books on flat earth, but very few people have had the impetus to tell me, oh, you've got to go out and read this. Now, obviously, I'm going to go out and say, you've got to read this, it's great. But it will be far more, in my opinion, successful based on the fact that I hope, I can't say for certain yet, I hope I've produced a book that will enthuse people. And in order to do so, I think it had to have gone through the baptism of fire that it's been through, so that it has something very unique to offer that up until now, and Neil keeps pointing this out, is unavailable to the public. You know, this transitional period where we've started to really iterate the fact that surface level must be measured in order to come up with ball belief to derive housekeeping questions from. That's something that is unique. Now, it's come under criticism and fire for its first 2 years of inception, to the point where it's been through all of the perceived to be, although not really, arguments that could be put up against it. What's the best we've had? Fucking pi equals 2 if you take the heliocentric implications. That's the best we've had. You're like, yeah, this is absolutely rock solid and uncontestable, and offers, more importantly than anything else or currently on the market available to punters, the ability to take the information that we've boiled down over the last 12 years into very simple and concise terms. Earth is measured flat with miles. Earth is measured flat with elevation. Earth is measured flat with mean sea level. Earth is measured flat with areas of equal altitude, circles of equal elevation. You know, all of these basic concepts are being interwoven with their outgoing, that's the reader's outgoing heliocentric worldview. So upon reading my book, they'll get to the end of it and go, I understand how flat Earth must be measured for a globe faith to exist. Now, that's something absolutely unique that will hopefully cause a bit of a stir. And that bit of a stir will have the knock-on effect of people wanting to talk about it and say, this is something different. It's not just another book about how Earth isn't a sphere under the banner of a flat Earth categorization. This is an actual useful tool that somebody who's a complete novice or a complete outsider can be handed, and in relatively simplistic terms, it gets more complicated as you read through the book. That's the thing I'm probably the most proud of, right? Sorry to keep this as a long waffle. As you read through the book, it ramps up in difficulty level. It's like a game. You know, you play a game, and as you play it, it progressively gets harder. The book's like that. You start off and you're reading about really basic principles. It's still peppered with, you need a flat Earth for that. But it's done in a very offhand or subtle way initially, you know, and it's more anecdotal towards the beginning of the book. So you can roll into the book and it seems relatively easy to take in and digest. As you get about a third of the way in, the difficulty level goes up one, and you're having slightly more complicated heliocentric notions described through the lens of requiring flat Earth measurements. By the end of the book, you're getting the most complicated heliocentric notions described with all of the preceding explanations of things like heliocentric acquisition of elevation angle and indeed gravity or Coriolis effect for axial rotation and inward forces with respect to a centre of a sphere, debunked by bending spacetime. By the time you've got to the end of the book, all of these things have been covered and they're being cross-referenced to themselves and the flat Earth measurements they're built upon foundationally. So by the time you get to about chapter 12, you'll, as a reader who's a complete novice, think, bloody hell, I might want to read that chapter again. You know what I mean? It's not that the language is necessarily difficult to understand, but conceptually, it's mind-blowing. But it eases you into it, so it kind of creates a full sense of security as you get through chapter 1, 2, and 3, that it's going to be a relatively digestible, easy to debunk concept, even though you've already had the foundations given to you about flat Earth prerequisites being needed. They've been peppered in there from the start. So I am quite proud of how hopefully engaging it will be to read. Therefore, when someone like you, Arthur, gets a hold of it and reads it, you'll be intrigued. There'll be aspects of the journey we have all taken collectively that will keep you on the inside also intrigued with the way it's been described, so that it will enthuse you to want to talk about it, and therefore hopefully find a contact that does want to translate it because you've talked about it and it's enthused them, or they've read a copy of it, you know, they've gone out and bought it in the English version or whatever at that point. So I can't think of any other examples beyond When We Got Here and Parallax being the only example I can think of where somebody's compelled to tell me about a flat Earth book. I would hope that will be the case with this, though. When the book finally comes out, people will be compelled to tell others about it and indeed recommend that they read it. That's the most important thing. The way it will sell is if people enjoy it and go, I feel compelled to recommend this to somebody else to read, even if it means them spending money on it. Because the last thing you want to do is recommend something, have somebody hand over money and then go, that was a complete rip-off. I feel robbed. It didn't offer me good information. It wasn't well written. It didn't keep me engaged. I ploughed through it because I'd spent money on it, but then I felt robbed. That's the last thing you want. You want people to get to the end of it and have their absolute mind blown about how flat Earth is, based on unequivocal evidence that they cannot dispute. And if they dispute,
goodness.
Go on.
That is not going to happen. I know basically what's in the book. There's no way that is going to happen.
What's not going to happen?
That they're going to just plow through because they spent the money. It's engaging. It's well written. Okay, especially that last thing you did when you had to add the pitch data in. I mean, there's good stuff in that. You're doubting yourself.
I'm not doubting myself. I'm saying I'm very proud of what it is, and it would be a terrible travesty if people did feel robbed. But I don't think that will be the case. I think when Flat Earther gets hold of the book, he'll read it and be compelled to tell others about it. If you feel like...
He was being sarcastic, Flat Earther.
Oh, no, I realise that.
I like the sound of that, though, how it starts off in simplicity and builds up. Did you plan that out, Nathan, or did it just happen to work out that way?
Well, a bit of both. So it happened to work out that way because at some point, relatively recently, I picked through all of the different chapters and decided what order they'd need to be in and what would be the most sensible order. Now, I was subconsciously going through it in a way that I wanted it to be immediately engaging and not put the reader off reading the next chapter. I want them to be engaged in such a way that they, even if the last chapter was hard, they're compelled to read the next. So with that in mind, I ordered it in a way that I felt reflected that. And as a consequence, it's chronologically awful. It's all over the place in terms of what happened at certain dates. It's far from chronologically correct, right? It jumps all over the place. The very last chapter is about the very first hangout I had. That's how chronologically awful it is as a consequence. But it doesn't matter. You know, nobody cares the chronology of these events. It is utterly inconsequential to the reader. What matters is, can it be digested upon reading it? Is it going to leave the reader compelled to read the next chapter? And that's all I was thinking about. Again, when editing it, that's how I wanted it to be. There were certain information-rich chapters that were early on that my wife and I decided on the fly would just get removed. We're just like, no, we're going to hack out this entire section. It's just too complex. Now, it might be the case that people get critical and go, well, you've missed out this entire section of heliocentric detail in regards to this particular character or this particular measurement. And I'll be turning around and going, no, that was originally there. But in terms of just making a good book, I felt it was necessary to remove that information because it doesn't alter the overall message the book has. Earth's measured flat in all circumstances and without exception. Here's the examples that we foolishly thought we needed to argue about and how they required flat Earth all along. That's the message of the book. Now, it wasn't. It was previously in the 4th and 5th draft, just about housekeeping, wasn't it? It's completely altered the fact that I've had to do it twice, how it gets presented. And it means that when, like today, when we're referencing the map company or azimuth and altitude or any specific aspect, the offing with your aliens, I can cross-reference that to a chapter that I know, like off the top of my head. All right, so this guy was talking about aliens being out towards the horizon and the discovery of new lands. I talk about that in explicit detail in my chapter called The Offing. See what I mean? I can turn it. I'm picturing how I can turn it into a plug for the book when someone starts asking me questions about flat Earth. And all I'm looking to do is that it's a 2D TV sketch where it's got Parkinson, who's an old interviewer here in the UK on the BBC, and Madonna, and it's the cartoon of them two talking to each other. And Parkinson says, "Fawn, fawn, 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 fawn," and Madonna replies, "No, plug, 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 plug." And he says, fawn. And she says, no, plug. So yeah, I'll be looking for angles, no pun intended, to work in a plug for the book. So when someone asks me about something specific, all I'll be racking my brains for is which chapter relates to this. So I can start plugging it.
Well, one good thing is I seen a comment on your first book, and somebody said, whose bright idea was it to put YouTube links in a book?
Epic. Did you hear that, Paula? Huh? I can just get my wife to hear that. Did you hear what Neil just said? No. One of the comments in regards to my first book, let's call it, was, whose bright idea was it to put YouTube links in a book?
That's what I said.
That's exactly my wife's sentiment. She's just replied, that's what I said.
Yeah, because I was thinking about what you said, and you're right. 50 years from now, they're going to put that a YouTube link. So it does date it.
Yep.
And it doesn't make any sense to do that. References, yeah. Citations, yeah. Freaking YouTube links?
Yeah, it's on YouTube, mate. It must be the truth.
Maybe they'll go on YouTube. People that don't know, and it'll come to the light what was done. So, but anyway, yeah, I think it's going to be outstanding. I've had a good feeling about it the whole time.
Yeah. At least on your second book, like you say, you've made the first chapter, first sentences like inviting. I think you made a mistake on your first book with that Brian Veldelson or whatever he was.
Bigfoot.
You're breaking up a little bit, one day. I think I got the sentiment. I mean, my original work would have still turned into that. I'd have just worked through it, and I wouldn't have had to taken an extra 6 months to get to where I am now.
Yep.
Reworked that in the same way.
But I think you're right. I think it had to go through.
Sorry. How about sales on the internet? Are you going to have an accompanying website for it?
Yes. So I've got a publisher who's already got a book selling site that's working really nicely for him. And while he does cover plenty of different genres on the site, the ones that sell the most copies are the Flat Earth books. So when he pitched it to me, he was like, look, I'm selling all these books, but he showed me the stats and was like, look at how many of these books that sell are Flat Earth books. Now, they're all from people that you would probably be unfamiliar with. It's like, whereas you've got something unique, which is to say a recognizable name in the subject. So, that hopefully will end up being the same site with all different versions in different languages downloadable from his site. Hopefully. There'll be at least half a dozen different translations of it. But that will come with time and people liking it. So I can only hope that people like it, Mickey. I know they will.
I'm pretty sure it will. I'm pretty sure that will be the case.
I think the recognizable names key, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as much as this isn't a massive channel, 26,000 subscribers isn't huge, but just through pure effort, I've ended up with 10 million views. Well, that's enough to be semi-recognisable if you've ever come across the subject. It's not publicly recognisable. It's not like I'm going to be a household name anytime soon. But if you've come across the subject, there's a fairly large or a fairly statistically significant chance that you'll have heard my name.
That's how I found you.
Everybody is one meeting away from total success. And this book coming out, you don't know. You could be one person away from that success.
Plus, you've got other people like who's that Nigel Soprano's in there. I mean, he's a well-known character.
I've changed
it's going to sell.
I've changed his name, right?
It's Mario.
I changed it to Mario. So he's now Mario Soprano the plumber. To me, Mario.
Well, that's the thing.
Look, you were a YouTube channel. Now you're going to have a book. Step by step, this thing is rolling out. It's rolling. That's the way to go.
Right, and you said 26,000. I mean, that's nothing to just cast aside like only 26,000. If a quarter of them buy your book and suggest it to others, just think positive. This is going to be a hit. We're going to be very successful. I felt it in my bones from the beginning when 10th Man was out telling you, write a book. 10th Man has that vision too. He had a vision one time of thousands of people. I remember him saying it. So you never know. This may be the time. Just gear up and be ready.
It seems weird that you should say this. I mean, I hope that is the case. But by the same token, it's like, if you listen to the current rhetoric, it's just a complete polar opposition to that sentiment. That is to say, my current rhetoric is to say, I said it today. It's like, you're not measuring anything to do with miles. I haven't come up with miles. I'm a YouTuber. I've got no consequence in this subject whatsoever. It's just measured flat. Regardless of what I say, whether we have the discussion, whether we disagree, none of it matters. We are insignificant with regards to Earth's surface level topology, measurements, all of it. None of it is going to be influenced by us. Now, those are stone cold facts. But by contrast, you're like, yeah, but you've got a book that's coming out that you hope that tens of thousands of people will read and be influenced by. You're like, yeah, what are they going to read? How inconsequential it is to understand this stuff. It won't make any difference to the measurements. They were always flat anyway, right? The argument's moot. The debate is non-existent. It's just so weird to be contrasting the two things together. Do you not agree?
That's the beauty of it, though. You are taking a back seat. You're stepping back and saying how inconsequential everybody is to the fact that it's measured flat. Nobody is doing that. As a matter of fact, they're doing the opposite. They're telling you how great they are.
Yeah, there's nothing else like it on that level, like you just explained before.
And it is by providence that it is now, that the book's going to be coming out now and not 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
What does that mean? I don't understand that word. What does by providence mean?
By providence meaning
it's meant to be.
It's like it was meant to be this way, because I think you and the whole thing around flat Earth, it took a lot of years to grow and to walk through, to walk through the different levels, to get rid of the rhetoric, to get rid of the bullshit, to concentrate and to peel the onion to get to the heart of it. And I think listening to what's been going on in flat Earth debate, it has never been this ripe.
Well, I couldn't agree more. The definition of by providence. Check this out. This gave me goosebumps reading this. Couldn't be a better word. Excellent, Mickey Mouse. Listen to this. By providence means through divine guidance, fate, or a fortune, unexpected intervention, often attributed to God or a higher power. It implies that events are directed by a protective, purposeful force rather than by mere chance. I couldn't have picked a better word. I wish I'd known that word previous to now. Excellent use of language.
Well, that all ties in because 10th Man was the freaking ignition for this, was he not?
Well, further to that, I've said it on literally last week, on Thursday I said it. It's like, I feel that this is the path that God has intended for me to be on. And the hardship that I've suffered when going through court cases or being stolen from or getting porn bombed or getting people bogus copyright strike me, whatever it may be, has all been with intent to culminate in this moment. Now, just before the book launches, we are absolutely by providence in the position we are while we have this conversation. And you can only put your hands up in praise of the Lord God Almighty when it comes to things like this. And praise perceived hardships. I was describing how when I was in a cork battle, it would seem like the most horrendous thing I'd ever experienced. Now I look back on it with delight in a way that I can thank or offer thanks to the Lord God Almighty for hardening me so I could survive the process that we've been through over the last 12 years. But for that, I wouldn't have been humbled enough to go through this process. I'd have wavered or faltered or fallen or whatever the word is prior to now through not having a thick enough skin. And, you know, so what seems like a baptism, it is a baptism of fire. What seems like punishment, you know, you throw your hands to the air. Why have you forsaken me? Why do I deserve such harsh treatment? Life's not fair. You look back on it 12 years later and go, thank you. Just weird, isn't it, how things work out? But for the fact that I've been put through that process, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing now. But for the fact that I've been stolen from, I wouldn't have necessarily started afresh and gone through with an eye to make the rhetoric specific to the flat earth prerequisites and measurements. So it is by providence that I've been stolen from.
That's correct. And the other thing, before I've been saying this for the longest time, it's got to be annoying to God that his earth that he created has turned into a globe, all right? He may be using you. We don't know, right? Till we see it happen. But you don't know if you're being used as the one to bring recognition to the fact that it's flat, and that's how God created it.
No, I think I am being used.
Nobody else is saying it's measured flat.
I quite frequently pray for guidance. So, you know, I do feel it is by, to a certain degree, divine intervention that things happen in the way that they do. It is by providence. And like I say, you don't necessarily find yourself on a desirable path when you're walking it. It might not seem like the nicest path, but when you reach the other end, you can only go, no, that was definitely the correct path. And I know it is. I asked for it and I got it. So, you know, again, you can only offer thanks for that, can't you? And there's a lot of people who don't have that ability. Most of our opponents, in fact, when I look at them, when they're put in front of me, because I'm not proactively seeking their interaction, but when people put it in front of me, I look at them and go, you never have the ability to raise your hands in thanks because you all seem miserable. You know, you all seem like you're fighting the flat earth. Somebody said it to me yesterday about going to other servers. Well, you need to go to war. I'm like, no, I don't. No, seriously, you might perceive the world to be like that, but it isn't. It's up to you to make that decision. And in making that decision, you can realise that there are plenty of delights on offer that you only have to open your eyes and experience rather than fighting, rather than living in misery of your own volition. You don't have to. But a lot of the people who oppose this are miserable. You know, there's a reason we use the terminology share your pain, because all of them are in pain. And it's self-inflicted.
Just going on about providence, I had the same exact feeling that you've just described, Nathan. When I first heard that word, I was talking to somebody who I didn't know was involved with the flat earth on another platform or somewhere else, and we found each other was in the same sort of arena. And the guy said to me, it's providence. And I thought, what does that mean? And I looked it up just like you did. And I thought, that's an amazing word. And this is years old, and I'll just read it out for you. It's a poem I wrote ages ago, just because I found that word. Do you want me to read it?
Everybody, please go on mute. Yeah, read it.
Yeah. So things happen for reasons between you and me. Sorry. I'm going to start again. I didn't choose the flat life. The flat life chose me. At this moment, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I've had plenty of ups and plenty of downs. At times, my life has been spun around. Now I'm observing myself on flat, level ground. I didn't choose the flat life. The flat life chose me. We all end up where we're supposed to be. Things happen for reasons between you and me. Providence is a friend of mine. Me and Flat Earth are doing just fine. I no longer fight it, I just let it flow. In the end, the globe had to go. things happen for reasons between you and me. Just open your mind, you'll eventually see. That's how the flat life in the end chose me.
Beautiful.
Completely ace. Way to go.
I thought to read that because that word has just come. That was syncretism, I think we'll call it. It's just come up, this word. It was an amazing word. You'll have to rewrite on your third book, Nathan. You can put that word in.
Well, it is providence. And I look at how it originated. That man, we all know he's a man of God. He represented being a man of God on this show, on this panel. If anybody, more than anybody, he represented it. And it was his idea. So I think it's all tying in perfectly to you got divine intervention, Nathan. You're good to go.
I hope so. Right, I'll be right back.
But where is Tanfield? He's usually bobs in a little bit now and again, doesn't he? Is he all right?
I haven't. I tell you what, I've sent him a few messages. I haven't heard from him, and I'm like, you can say, did I say anything? Did he hear me swearing on his show? He's upset with me. But Tent is not like that. I mean, it is what it is. He wants people that profess the name of Christ to represent him, and I fail all the time, especially when I'm going after people that are hanging around the other side and then coming back here. I do get sweary, and I gotta freaking put a lid on that. I know. And I've asked God to, take control of that little member of the body, which is the tongue.
Yeah.
God compares it to, in the Bible, it's compared to a rudder on a ship. A small little rudder controls the whole ship. And our words either condemn us, and you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, Tent is not like that. I don't know what's happening. I know he's okay after the surgery. There's been no problems, but I think it's just, family life. Remember, he lost his wife. So he's counting the days when they're reunited, but I don't know. I haven't heard from him. I sent him a few messages. I'll reach out again today. But I don't think it's anything. Nice. He's supposed to come back with the next phase of his AI encounters, right?
Yeah. Going with the complexity series.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm just asking. I know he's not around as much and what's happened, but it's nice when he does jump in on the occasion. It is nice to hear from him.
He popped in to defend you when those guys over there were talking about, what was that again?
Was it the curved triangle?
He jumped in to defend you then.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't say triangulation. I wasn't involved with Celeste navigation. I was saying, if I was explaining to somebody, from a point of view of a sailor being on a ship and pointing out getting to the harbour, getting your height of eye off sea before you set off, getting out into the ocean, and then using the sextant, mariner's sextant, setting it up for any errors, setting it to 0 degrees, finding the luminary, using the horizon to establish horizontal, and then getting your angle, elevation angle, and then timing that, and then going to the almanac and seeing and getting some coordinates and getting 3 fixes of circle of equal altitudes, and then to pinpoint your position on the surface level of the ocean. I've just explained all that, and I didn't use the word triangle once. That was my point.
Yeah.
Got turned into, I got to half a deck doesn't know what he's on about, and he's saying triangulation isn't used. That wasn't what I said.
And they came in and said, he's right. They don't. Look, it's a joke. It really is a joke. But what I find interesting is that man jumped right in to take you back on that.
Yeah. Nice one, Sam.
Tell the man's good. I sent him a message telling him that the book was finished and that I'd sent it off, and he sent me a thumbs back in response.
He must be mad at me then. He didn't send me anything back. Yep, he heard the show where I was swearing up and down, and he's upset with me.
I don't think that'd be the case, Neil. I think, you know, he's a forgiving man, and you just show your passion. You just said that's probably one of your little issues that you've got to work on. We've all got them, haven't we? Bloody hell. And you're working on things to put that right. So that's the right direction. That's a horizontal direction, by the way.
Yeah, but there's no excuse. I've been a Christian now, since 1996, really solid, where you can say what I gave up and just accepted, God, and started living that way, reading and understanding. So there's no excuse. There's certain things. I shouldn't be swearing on a show. That's the bottom line. It's a very simple thing. Even addressing chocolate, I don't need to say those words. Right? But sometimes it just doesn't sound as powerful. Yeah, I don't know. I'm making excuses for myself. But anyway, I need to tone it down.
Listen, remember when I wrote the poem "Forget About the Globe"? I don't know if you can remember. You piped up fucking years ago. Sorry, that's for swearing. And it was "Shut up about your fucking globe." The story's getting. I was saying I'm fucking sick of this effing, and I was swearing. I said to Nathan, "Do you want me to read it out?" I'm swearing in it. And you did comment like you should change the word and get rid of the swear words. And Nathan was sort of saying, well, it sort of emphasizes how I'm feeling at the time. I'm getting sick of this now. These people talking about this globe with 7 horizons and whatever else was in the poem. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I probably wrote it. So, but I must have been feeling a little bit angry and frustrated. And that's the word I had to use to emphasize that. Yeah. That's what you're doing when you are dealing with certain situations.
Right, because I don't use it. Like if I'm having a conversation, I never say it. It's only when my balls get twisted that the only relief I could get is saying that word.
Yeah,
but it's
same
still
here.
no excuse.
Exactly the same here. That's if you listen to today's pre-show, it was very, very blue language. Why? Well, because it's done out of frustration. I even described it as my own weakness. Why am I getting sweary? Well, because I'm in a position where my livelihood's threatened by somebody who casually wants to have a little conversation about flat Earth afterwards. Like, that will lead me to swear. It's just how it is. Has it not got a border? Has it no border? Just glass? Perspex. Where's the border? No border? It needs, like, you see how my 26 subscriber count play button's got a border around it?
What are you, Joe Biden? No borders?
No, we've got a giant frame for one of my daughter's artworks that she did on an A1 piece. And, it fits in perfectly. That'll be all right then. Sweet. Yeah. It's going to look good. Can't wait. I'll put the camera on it once it's up. But it's a very, very big picture that she's made in the art class that she does on a Tuesday, which is coincidentally where I wrote most of the anecdotes while she was doing her art. That's where I was writing the anecdotes. So you'd normally get them on a Tuesday, right, Neil? It's because it was an hour and a half of me sitting in a lesson that's quite some distance away, so that unlike some of the other classes, which I'll drop her off and then come home and then just go and get her again an hour and a half later, this class is too far to do that. So I'll just end up sitting on the teacher's couch writing the anecdotes. So when you're reading about Bob Nodell having a lav mic shoved up his ass, that's where it's been written, while this sort of work that my wife's framing is being produced by my eldest daughter. That's where I wrote most of the anecdotes. Anyway, I'll point the camera at him in a minute once my wife's got it framed.
So when you were doing all your writing over there, did the teacher ever have a question for you?
No, she's focused on teaching my daughter artwork. Very nice.
Artwork deals with a lot of perspective, doesn't it?
Of course.
This one doesn't. It's a very abstract piece. I'll stick it up on there. If you stick it up on those panels, I'll mount it on there, and then I'll point the camera at it. Although it's a bit of a mess in here.
Remember the Blues Brothers?
Okay, Neil.
Sorry. Remember the Blues Brothers? What was their motto? What was the saying that they had? Why were they getting the band back together? They want a mission from God. Want a mission from God.
Yep, providence. I like it when things happen, though. Like, the guy mentioned providence. Nathan sparked up about it, looked at the word. Then I thought, I did that once, exactly the same as Nathan did. And I've got a poem about it. So within that, that to me, I don't know what it means, but it means that meant something to me.
Synchronicity.
Yeah, man. So the guy mentioned it. So, and Nathan picked up on it. We found the word. I've had that feeling before that this certain thing was in God's hands and it was divine intervention for it to happen. And so that then us three then and the poem and everything else talking about that is confirming, yes, you're correct. It was providence. It was just dealing what was just said to make it correct, I feel.
Yeah, agreed.
It's all said and done. It's the way it's meant to be. By God.
Well, I mean, if you read the Bible, you're reading the creation story, there's no globe there. There's no globe anywhere throughout the whole Bible. How would you feel if you got the whole thing in black and white, right?
Hang on a
Read
minute.
of all men.
Hang on. But the circle of Earth.
Yeah, circle is flat. It's not,
Yeah,
it never says sphere.
2D figure measured from the horizontal plane of our Earth.
Right. God sits above the circle of the earth and looks upon the inhabitants of men. They're grasshoppers to him. Yes. There's no globe involved there. There's no solar system. The sun is not a star. This is what you get when you start going down that path. The sun is now just one of many stars, right? How would you feel? So now it's time. Get the story straight here.
I like your other verse before regarding the earth coming up from the waters, and we were talking about sea level. That is a really good one because we've got the oceans and the waters. So before any earth was coming up, all we had was level water. That's what I keep saying about this. That's all we had, level water. It was created that way. So if your main substance on Earth is just naturally level, you're not going to go forth then and think, well, we're going to measure curvature and everything's. It doesn't make sense. You have to use that initial levelness to go forward with everything else. That was a great. I think that was a good one, that, Neil.
Okay, I've shown you. It's at the bottom of this picture on my camera view. You want to have a look? Okay, that's it. It's framed up. The panel behind it is 2 foot by 4 foot, so you can get an idea of how big it is. Anyway.
Very nice. It's actually Genesis 1, 9, and 10, where God commands dry land to emerge from the waters. But that's not how it's written in the King James. It's written, and dry ground coming up out of the water. in Peter, he says, which states the earth was formed out of water and by water, which speaks of spreading the earth above the waters. And God said, let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear. And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and gathered the water, and the gathered waters he called seas, and saw that it was good.
Did he mean sea level?
Of course.
Oh, he meant it.
He founded it upon the seas and established it upon the waters. Upon.
Yeah, well, it's talking about the oceans and water and things above the water. Then there's a height above the water. The water is level. Yeah. So, like I say, it's explained there. I like that.
Yeah.
Give me
the
1
depths
second.
of-
Let me get it from the King James. Go ahead, CC.
Yeah, I was just going on simply that, yeah, and the depths of the waters being from what we now measure from the horizontal plane of flat Earth that God created as well. But yeah, they're all in harmony, and it's right there. Any verse you're going to bring up,
even,
Neil.
Yeah,
Even
I mean, I don't know that. I don't know the scriptures like that, but obviously the two main luminaries are for time. Says that in the scripture, sun is for the day and the time. So how do we measure the time using that luminary? Well, we measure it with an elevation angle from the which has already been described in that scripture, the oceans, the water, the level of the water to the luminary in the sky. So now you've got time. You've got a level water. You've got a light in the sky that was going to give you time. Well, what do you mean time? Well, you can measure it from where it is above the horizontal with elevation angle measurements. It's flat. The clocks all know that.
Yeah, and all the chronometers and the measurements for the convention of time and how it was created. Yeah, and the evening and the morning were the ... day, such day. Yeah, we as men and women, how we have it measured. It's how it's measured from how it was created.
I mean, just if the sun was above your head at say high noon, and it stopped moving. Now, obviously, all your mechanical clocks are going to keep turning, but in reality, time is still. It'll just be high noon forever. The time has stopped. If the sun stops, the time stops. Don't know what you feel about that.
Well, it says here in chapter 14, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and to rule over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day.
Still is. There's your time straight away, and it measured from elevation angles from the waters below.
Listen to this. And God said, Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that have life and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven.
Yeah, we know that the above will be an altitude from mean sea level, measured from our flat Earth, from how God created it. Yeah, so when he's stating above in his word, yeah, ding, 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 flat Earth.
Exactly. You can just say to someone, well, it's just mentioned there what Neil's about. We've got a big light in the sky. It's going to measure the day time. And then just ask somebody, how was time initially measured? Or what, early tools was used? Well, your sundial. And how does that work? Well, you're using the sun's position over the earth. And look, it casts a shadow over a horizontal plane. That's how, we can measure time. Can't get away from it, can you, really?
It's just the way it is.
Just like all roads lead to a flat Earth.
No matter where you are and where you're going, here on this earth, the road will lead you to our flat Earth. So what you doing, Neil? Are you looking up more verses?
No, not at all.
You ever just flick your pages over a book or just flick your pages and wherever you stop, read it out. Just do that.
Oh, yeah, anywhere you go, it will be full of truth. And you'll be able to disseminate it as well.
I can't remember the example of the reason I did that once. I don't know why I did it. I might have just been in a feeling a certain way, or something was going on in my life at the time, and I was in. I can tell you where I was. I was in. I say I could tell you where I was. I'm just trying to. It was. Was it Garstang? Was it Garstang or Fleetwood? Somewhere around near Blackpool. Somewhere around there. Anyway, there was an old church there in the town centre, and it just looked really nice. This church and the doors were open, and I thought, "Oh, I'll just go in and have a look at just look around and see what it's like." And I just sat down on one of the benches, and there was like little Bibles there. So I just sat down and I just opened one up, and I just ran my thumb over it and stopped at a certain page and read what I landed on. And it actually sort of, I don't know if you could just do this with anything, but when I read it, I thought that corresponds with how I was feeling or whatever was going on at the time. Like a syncretism moment again. And I thought, wow, that was... I'd seen this church loads of times and never been in. I thought, I'm just going to go in there today and have a look around, and that's what I did. And I did that, and it sort of made things make sense a little bit.
Yeah, well, God will deal with you. He's got to deal with you. But I've done that one time. Open up the book and just say, I'm going to read, boom. And I landed on the genealogies. It's just a bunch of names. So, yeah, but emotions, the Psalms cover everything. I'd recommend Psalms. Psalms go when you're sad, when you're happy, when you're angry. The Psalms cover everything. Every emotion that man can go through, you're going to find it in the Psalms. And then in the Proverbs, you're going to find the wisdom to deal with the emotions that you read in the Psalms. That's just how I look at it.
I like Proverbs because there's 31 chapters,
Exactly.
so you literally can go
For each day.
every day. Yeah. What's the date today? Today's the 30th. Well, read 30th Psalms, you know?
But what I did was listen to this, and they started connecting. I did it on my own. So I started at Psalm 1, right? Then I skipped 30, and I read Psalm 31, 61, 91, and 121, I think. If you skip 30, right, and you read 5 Psalms a day, you get through all of them basically in a month. And they like start connecting. It was weird. I can't explain it, but the Psalms would start to connect. And I did that. That's how I read the Psalms. That's how I still read the Psalms. I'll go Psalm 1, 31, 61, 91, 121, or 111. Let me see. What's 30 from 91, 101? Yeah, 121. On the second day of the month, I'll read Psalm 2, Psalm 32, Psalm 62, Psalm 92, Psalm 122. And I'll do that. And throughout 30 days or 31 days, you go through all of them with a proverb a day.
Well, I don't know. You can correct me, Neil. You might. I don't know. I remember years ago I was reading something about I don't know which some part of the Bible. I don't know if it's Old Testament or New Testament, but every so many words or something it was saying the beginning of the letter reads out a word. I think it might have been Torah.
You're talking about the alphabet. You're talking about the
I don't know what I'm
alphabet.
talking.
In Psalm, what is that? Psalm 119? No, not Psalm 119. Where it's
I don't know the full story, but it's like just like he says, right, go so many words in the first whatever it was, and it's like T, and then go to the next thing, and then it spells out Torah or something of all the them. I don't know. I might have this wrong. It was a long time ago. I thought you might.
Yeah, you
know.
got to be careful with them numbers and this and that, and this spells this. But the Torah is just the first 5 books of Moses. There is the alphabet in the Psalms. I forgot which one it is, but it's a long psalm. Let me see if I could offhand grab it.
I will be able. I've just got to do something.
I haven't studied it myself, but listened to others who have studied Hebrew extensively. And it's a fascinating language because it's also pictorial. So every single symbol or word or letter, I guess you could call them, of a Hebrew word has a picture that kind of goes with it. So, I can't remember anything specific, but like if you had the word rakia, which is the firmament, then there's like 3 letters or whatever, 3 Hebrew symbols that mean rakia, but each individual letter symbol comes out to something like house of the Lord, or something interesting like that. And again, like Neil, I agree. You don't put a lot of credence in that kind of decoding and gematria and all of the kind of mystical stuff about that. But it is interesting that even in God's language, the words explicitly spell out or give you a picture of the meaning of the word and expands it. It's just fascinating. That's all.
Hey, I can't believe how I do not remember which one is the Hebrew alphabet from the Psalms, where it has it written out, Beth, Adel, and which Psalm is that? What's wrong with me? I used to know these like the back of my hand. Oh, well.
$119.
Is it 119?
I mean, are you going like based on the set of verses? Alas, death,
Yeah, that's the one I'm
female.
looking for. What is that, 119?
Yeah, 119. The last.
Yeah, I knew it was. I said 119.
Yeah, I mean, the Lord blessed that it's just so. Yeah, that was just the enemy.
Said 119 in the beginning. That's why you never doubt yourself. I knew it was 119.
Yeah, or you
But see, you
just
know
give
what
it
it
to
is? It
Jesus
might,
without what he's showing you.
on the phone, it doesn't read like it does on the freaking pages. That's annoying. Why the pages are the best. Yeah, it does not read out in the Psalms on the like it does on the pages. Yeah, but that's the Hebrew alphabet throughout the whole thing, I guess. But yeah, they started connecting like 31 connects with 61. And some of them are identical. Like the end of, let's say, Psalm 70. And then when I skip to 30 to read Psalm 100, the end of that is identical to the beginning of Psalm 70. I'm just throwing them out there. It's not the ones, but similar to that. It could be another one. I don't know which one it is exactly. But yeah, they're identical. Anyway, it was just my way of getting through all the Psalms and the Proverbs in 1 month. I created the system, so I stand by it. Be nice if 10th Man started the Bible study again. That would be good. I know a few of us would join.
And even that will happen in good time.
Yeah. Well, when if God puts it on his heart, he'll do it. Well, that's it. If not, then it will not be done. But when he was doing it, I was working in New York with my brother, and we were doing it every Sunday morning. I think from my time it was like 7:00. And man, he would just turn the key to the psalm we were reading and just break it down to like. And I've read this so many times, and I didn't see it like that. Did you get to listen? 1 second, one day. Did you get to listen to that sermon I sent you from Pastor Carter the other day? If not, listen to that.
I might
Yeah,
do
one
that today. I haven't had an opportunity. We've had some things happening on the farm lately. I've been a bit distracted, but yeah, I'll get to it.
This is after open heart surgery, right? Except he's no longer the senior. He's no longer the senior pastor of the church. They turned that over to Pastor Tim, but he's still involved. And the way he breaks it down, I mean, I sent it to my brother who's caught up in the whole going back to the law. Oh my goodness, he just totally uproots that. I mean, not in a way where you dummy, just the scriptures and just how he does this, how he compares the stories and how he puts illustrations together. It just shows you, and then he can't even get through it without getting very emotional when he's trying to get to the highlight part. He even says, "I can't do this." And when he's saying what John the Baptist ministry was basically a ministry of failure. People coming to an end of themselves, that they can't do this anymore. You know, constant river of blood. And 2 seconds later, you leave the temple and somebody, you know, steps on your shoe and you swear at them, or, you know, something will happen. And then boom, back to the temple for the sacrifice. Just when you get a chance, Surf Daddy, listen to that sermon.
So it's basically a sermon talking about how kind of like Hebrew roots people.
It's not directed towards them, but it just if you read that, you there's no law. You will understand what the covenant. First of all, covenant was made, and the covenant was not with God and Abraham. It was God making a covenant within Himself. And he breaks it down how he sees that, because when you have a covenant, it's two people, but he never made it with Abraham. The covenant was within himself, within God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, that they were going to do this. Right?
Would you call that just his covenant with Israel? He
made the promise, but the covenant was made within himself. Because Abraham was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to have descendants as many as the stars that I can't number? Yeah, and he makes a covenant with him. And remember, he breaks it down. So when you get a chance, listen to it and tell me what you think about it. But really, it's about it's really good.
It's how we can't keep our end of the bargain.
Yeah, no, not a chance.
People, and Abraham's like, I can't do this. This isn't. I can't.
Well,
do this.
he likens it to. Okay, what did Abraham do when it came down and put everything together? They cut the sacrifice in half, right? And there's certain things that go there. And then what happened? Birds came down to try and, like on the sacrifice. And what did Abraham do? Chase them away, right? So basically, that's what Pastor God is saying. He goes, well, Abraham's like, well, what do I do? Just chase the birds away. And those birds could be all these things that try to enter in. Like, you got to do this and you got to do that or this, that. No, chase them away. We're just partakers in the covenant that he made within himself before the foundation of the world. It's really deep. Yeah. Okay. When you listen to it, we'll talk about it.
Thanks. Sounds good.
I think he says on one, he goes, if your children, if you were to have, you go and it says, listen, you're pregnant, you're going to have a baby, but this baby is going to beat you and abuse you and later on kill you. Would you have that child? Right?
Or would you do what you think is right and try not to have that child? Or
But you have that child, but God still went through with it.
Yep.
And then with the son, he said, let's just have a covenant that the son was ready to go and do it. It was just a matter of, and he put himself, if you think about that, he put himself into a baby. Right? That's showing the power of God. Like, I'll put myself in a baby form where I'm relying on the clay that I brought to life to take care of me. Talk about humility. And you still won't be able to kill me because they tried, right? They killed all the kids from 2 years and under, right?
Yeah. Well, again, that just shows the power of and how that the Trinity, or what we call the Trinity, is true.
The Godhead.
Yeah.
Well, it's in John. It's in John chapter 17. You can't get around it. In John chapter 17, you have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, all in one. It breaks it down very simply. If you ever read John, and then John was in the inner circle, and John was the one that was at the cross. John was the disciple that loved him, that had that agape love. Some deep stuff, man. But yeah, I sent it to my brother, right, who's caught up in this whole thing, like going back to keeping the Sabbath, and that's first of all, it's a hard thing to do, and he believes that you got 613 laws to go with it, and if you break one, you break them all. That's what the law is. If you want to live by that law, you have to keep every single one of them. Because if you break the smallest, you break the biggest. You're responsible for the whole thing, and it's just showing you how impossible it is. That you need someone, and it was their pride that kept them in that. Listen to the sermon. It's actually got two parts. I don't know if I sent you to both parts.
Yeah, I got both of them.
Part one is did you get it, Christian? Is Christian still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Did I send it to you?
I don't have it.
I'll send it to you.
Lord bless you. I received.
I sent it to Nathan. I don't know what I was thinking, but I said maybe he'll listen to it.
Lord
But
bless.
this Pastor Carter is the guy that he married me and my wife at Times Square Church in the year 2000. I was not on staff yet. When did 9/11 happen? That was 2001, right?
Correct.
Okay, so yeah, that's when I became employed. But I was attending the church. It was a big church in New York City. It was in one of the Hellinger Theater, which I don't know, holds 5,000-6,000, whatever. They took one of the theaters and they made it into a church. And the Wilkerson law was passed after that. David Wilkerson started it. He's the one that started Teen Challenge. There's a whole story that goes with that. But he was able to, with the money he was made from the book, he was able to purchase the Hellinger Theater, and he made it into Times Square Church. So that's where this is all taking place. So he married me and my wife. And usually when you got the pastors to marry you, they perform this service, right? And that was it. Maybe hung around for a couple of minutes. But we had the reception in the church. We were supposed to go to Central Park and take pictures, but it got too dark. So Pastor Carter was like, well, I'll have them open up the theater, and there's a wonderful place to take pictures. So now it's a big thing. Now it's Saturday, it's closed, so now you got to get the maintenance guys. They got to turn on all the lights. You got to turn the air conditioning on. There's work to be done now, but he did it. So he turned everything on, and we took all our pictures in the sanctuary, which is beautiful. It's a landmark, so nothing can be changed. But beautiful, beautiful church. And not funny, but the ironic thing about it is right above where the stage is and where the preachers preach, right above it is a huge crown, like into the that's how the building was made, with a crown right on top, dead center. And so we took the pictures there, and this pastor was very. If I could say something, he is the most humble man I've ever met in my life. If I could describe him, that's Pastor Carter. But he really has a good insight to the Word of God. I mean, you could tell the man prays and fasts, but he's a regular guy, and that's what he liked. I think that's what he liked about me, because I was just a regular guy, no nonsense. This is me, and that's it.
What's that church near the two towers? That's never sort of withstood the test of time and never been destroyed. I remember going to see that when I was down there years ago.
Which one?
I don't know. I think it's near the two towers.
That's the Catholic church. Is it? It might be a Lutheran church, don't it? I know the one you're talking about. The one in the village there.
Yeah, but it's still standing, and it's been through this and that, and it's never been sort of harmed or, I don't know. I went in there anyway when I was there. I don't know how many years ago that was, but it's a nice church.
Yeah, it's a dead church. There's nothing going on there. It's just a building. You want a live church, you go to Times Square Church, because the church is the people. And very lively group there. But yeah, he was, even when I had my situation where I came out of surgery, I got addicted to the painkillers. Boom, he was right there. He was like, "What are you gonna do?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe going to Alabama." And there was another guy that spoke at Times Square Church named Rick. He was the best man at my wedding, and he had a double trailer. The only thing is, I had to take care of the horse that was on the property, but he made that open to me to go over there and just get it together. But I was like, I can't. How am I gonna? I mean, my wife works in a tape ministry, and I work in maintenance, and I can't. He's like, well, what do you want about the money to pay the bills? I was like, yeah, kind of. He's like, well, how much you need? I could have said $30,000, and he would have gave it to me. I said, I don't know, roughly $5,000. He was like, all right, I'll get to work on that check. So it's like things like that. Like, I mean, who's going to do that? So when my wife went to pick up the check, it was $7,000. So I was able to stay there in Alabama for a month and still be able to, like, pay the bills. And then when I got home, they kept me on the payroll. So I had like 4 or 5 checks from working there that were in the mailbox. And then, of course, it failed when I was there. I couldn't do it. I got that's the one thing about the man-made drugs that's harder, like with a pill addiction, with especially like those Lortabs and Percocets. It's harder to come off than the street shit. It gets worse as the days go on. But anyway, they never condemned me. Just freaking, just kept on helping me until I got it together. There were people that were going there from Times Square Church, on my maintenance team, saying they gotta just send them away to a program. So he has a meeting with me. He's like, you know how many people are coming here and telling me I should send you to a program? He goes, you have the God of the universe living inside you.
Best program there is.
Excuse me.
Yep. You can go further into it. Being spiritual stones neatly fitted together unto a temple of God, Jesus being the chief cornerstone. Yeah, that we through Jesus are the church.
That's a kind of a, when someone says that, oh, that's a dead church, like Neil was saying, that his testimony there shows that church, that body of believers, is not dead. Even though there were some fellow members that were like, send them to a program, send them to a program. At a dead church, that's exactly what they would do. They would use man's solutions, which aren't solutions. They're actually sometimes make it worse, to get things done. They have counselors, they have programs, they have seminars, they have workshops and all this stuff, and 12-step programs, whatever. But a living church, and one that works and has fruit, will not even think of sending you to a program. They know God can take care of it, and they know that you've got to get in a place where a lot of prayer and fasting, isolation and study, give you no distractions. Take care of this horse and sit there and read your Bible. And
now let me clarify. When the guys that will come into him, I just had sometimes I get emotional when I talk about that, because it was a real event that happened in my life where everybody just cast you off, but the head of the church, the pastor, is encouraging you that the God of the universe that raised up Christ from the dead lives inside of you. Tap into that. I mean, that's encouraging. But the programs they were telling me to go to, what Christian? They weren't like what's one of them? I even forgot the name of them. Teen Challenge was one of them, but that's Christian based, right? And I had one over there, I think it was at Timothy House, whatever, which I did wind up going to, but I couldn't land it. That lasted there, I think, 3 days. Because you see, they don't know how to deal with the physical addiction. Like spiritually, I want to be there, but physically, you're going through stuff. You can't, like, they take over from your endorphins. Your naturally produced endorphins that's why you're able to go through the day and farm and do what you have to do. Surf Daddy on one deck, you're able to do your refrigeration because you're naturally producing endorphins. And when you substitute them with the painkillers, your body starts producing those endorphins, and now the substitute is it. And when you stop them, now your body's got to start producing them again. And it's like if you can picture a rusty train in the train yard, the wheels are all freaking orange with rust. And then, all right, let's get this baby going. And they start it up and the wheels start turning. That's what your body's going through. So when I was there, I mean, it was a time when the Passion of the Christ came out. So like, the whole program, a whole bunch of guys were going there. I couldn't even get out of my bed. And they forced me to go to this thing. And I was like, and it's just not how you deal with that. I couldn't. And I understand their point, because they don't trust you because you left alone there. You'll rob the place. I mean, because you got people coming in there from all walks of life. But my thing is, okay, so then leave one of the freaking supervisors with me. I can't move right now. I mean, so I wound up leaving that freaking place, and they still didn't like throw me out or anything. He still was continued to be a major part in my life. But yeah, their intentions were good. I mean, it was bad. It was worse than I ever been. And I was a heroin addict at one time. I was worse then, later with the painkillers that I was given after surgery than I ever was when I was a heroin addict.
I just can't imagine. That's why your testimony is so powerful, is because, one, it's true and you went through it, and now you're able to describe it without being a dick about it.
But why do you think so many ladies, so many females, they don't come out of it? They wind up dying in it because, think about it, they can always make money. So, and they wind up selling their bodies to a point where I guess they can't anymore, but Very few females come out of a physical addiction. Very few. The ones that I was around, they all died. Like, they all eventually died of overdoses or whatever. But they very rarely come out of it, and it's because the pain of the withdrawal is nobody wants to deal with that. Anyway, 10 steps, 12 steps is one step. One step. God help me. That's the bottom line. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to go to anything. Yeah, you are, but just God help me.
Fruit of that is evident in your testimony. So that's why we love and appreciate you.
But when you get a chance, listen to that sermon, man. I actually listened to it twice. I haven't done that in the longest time.
You sent two parts. So is it two separate sermons or is it one sermon split into two?
No, it's the morning service, which is at 10 o'clock every morning, which I'll recommend that you guys, get that Times Square Church app and listen to that sermon every Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock is like powerful. Right. But then he comes back. There's 3 services on a Sunday. It used to be 10, 3, and 6, but this one was 10. The preaching starts, if you don't want to listen to the worship, just fast forward an hour to the preaching. And when he gets right into the word. But I think he came back and it was 1 o'clock. So now that's hard to get a seat there. So, and the people that were there from the morning service, they just kept their Bibles on the chairs and they were back for the 1 o'clock because they wanted the part 2. So but they have overflow rooms. There's a building that's attached to it that connects to right around the corner, which is Broadway. And that's got overflow rooms. It's called the Annex. And in that Annex building, they have let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 overflow rooms. And the Annex area was like a big area where they pump the service through on a video screen. But that's where I got married, in that one of those overflow rooms. And we had the reception right in the Annex, which is beautiful. But he stood for the whole entire service. Now, there was people telling me, you're not going to stay. They just marry you to hang out and then they leave. I'm like, Pastor Carter will stay for my whole reception. And sure enough, he did. Did for the whole thing. I think we had to kick him out, basically. The reason why? Because I had my reception in the church. It was part of the church. So there was no alcohol. So I had all my coworkers, I invited them, regular guys, Irish guys. They drank. So my father was rounding up the guys and they were going down to the pub on the corner, drinking and coming back in. So by the end of the night, my father was a mess. So he's wobbling, yeah, Pastor Carter, I always said, God has angels around me. And Pastor Carter was like, yeah, Tony, you have a guardian angel that can use a vacation. I can tell you that much. That's funny, But
that's good.
But he knew my father needed ministering to, because the next breath my father was in tears. Because my father went through some hard stuff. I mean, come on. Him and his sisters were living in a hallway with their mother that was dead for 4 days when he was 4 years old. Imagine that.
Get out.
Yeah. Then they all got separated and were in orphanages. That's why he resisted Christianity so much, because he was in I don't know if it's Catholic houses or brothers, and they literally physically and mentally abused him. sexually abused him. So he hated it when we started. Hey, listen, we're reading the Bible, and he resisted it tooth and nail.
People with that history are some of the toughest ones to reach. That's how that whole. You said he was in Catholic homes, or in,
Yeah, probably that's the predominant in that Brooklyn area. There was Catholic orphanages, and Catholicism, Roman Catholicism is absolutely not of God. It's terrible. It is, I think, the one massive, and think of how broad across the earth Catholicism is and has become. It is truly the one world antichrist religion. Everything runs through the Catholic Church, that's for sure, the Roman Catholic Church. But yeah, he took a liking to my father, because I remember before I even got married, I brought my father to one of the services, one of the night services. So at the end, you go up to the stage, you talk to them, and my father went up and he received the Lord. So Pastor Carter's talking to him, and he's like, my father's like, I don't feel nothing. Pastor Carter's like, it's not a feeling, Tony. It's, it's, you're not going to get a feeling. You might, but it's not about feelings. But it was he spent a lot of time with my parents. Like a few times I brought them in, and he really liked my father, because my father was a regular guy. Pastor Carter liked real people. He didn't like phonies. If you came with the persona of this holy righteous guy, he just. As a matter of fact, there was one time when about, I think it was 30 bikers came to the church. Like, their motorcycles parked outside. Like, and they came in because they heard what was happening there. Like, the word coming out of that church was pure. And like, after the service, he was outside talking to them, and they're swearing as they're talking, because they don't know. They were just like blown away. They were like, "Man, that effing sermon, man, was good. Oh, sorry for cursing." And he's like, just laughing and saying, "It's all right. You don't have to apologize to me." But those guys, they were reading their Bibles. They had Bibles, on the clip at the back of their bike. How they had like this bungee that clipped to the bike. And man, a new Bible from a Bible that's being read. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, you got it marked up. You got dog ears. You got pages turned. You got
So
that's
they were out
the
there
Bible that's being
smoking
used.
cigarettes, talking to Pastor Carter like he was, and that's what it is. And you got these people that are. I tell you, man, you got to be careful, because my daughter got offended in church very early. She's like 9 years old. I think she was putting some lip gloss on, and an usher managed to fight her way through to tell my daughter not to do that. And then why would you do that? I still can't get it from that. She's still offended by that. Now, yeah, she should get over it, of course. But what are you doing? Just usher, just put people to their seats, and don't pretend that you're the Holy Ghost. Not a list of what you can and shouldn't do. I'll take care of that. Do you know when that church first opened up, there were transvestites ripping off their wigs and wiping their makeup off, falling on their faces, repenting? They didn't need nobody to tell them to do that.
That's because it's not a dead church, dude. A real church has prostitutes, murderers, thieves, and drunks in the pews.
What do you think the disciples were?
Yeah. They've got that's you got a real church is when you got the bikers, the murderers, the thieves, the prostitutes, the drug addicts, the dregs, the bums. If they're in the pews, you got a good church going on.
Actually, Jesus uses that as a saying, right? He goes, "The thieves and murderers are entering in ahead of you." The religious leaders. I forgot how the scripture goes, but yeah.
Probably had the word Pharisee in there somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the chief priests and the Sadducees and the Pharisees of the day, calling them out and how phony and hypocritical they are.
The one that always got me was when they caught the one that always got me was when they caught the woman in adultery. They brought the woman and placed her at Jesus' feet. So, how do you commit adultery by yourself?
You
get my
don't.
drift?
Yeah, you don't.
Where was the guy?
Yeah. I love logic like that. In everything, even with biblical cosmology. I love that God gives me very clear first principle axiomatic logic to address any debate topic or question or whatever, that it's unarguable. So I measured flat is unarguable. I've still got a thread going on Facebook that's like over 300 comments now, just from last week, from this past Sunday. So it's only like 4 days old, and 400 plus comments, and people are just going nuts and diverting and telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, whatever. And all I did was ask, is there any way you can measure Earth besides the horizontal frame of reference?
That's very easy, right?
Right. I got a guy that just argued. I should probably do screenshots of it. He's actually the first person that is, besides insulting me all the time, he at least tries to make some arguments and told me that that we measure 3D, because I just said horizontal and all these lines and all this stuff is two-dimensional. Compass directions are two-dimensional, right? Oh well, we measure in 3D, and I said, okay, go tell me in your own words how we do this. And he literally started off with, I think I will do screenshots. I'll send it to Master V. It's hilarious. And just starts, well, first you find a place, a relatively smooth place out in the middle of the ocean. And I'll send it. This will be a test. You can count how many flat Earth references. He goes through them all. Then you travel east 10 miles, and then you measure and then you find measure the sun, and then point A and point B, and then you measure the sun at point A, at point B, and then it's you divide that by something. Anyhow, he basically then converts. There's 24 hours in a day. Oh yeah, the time between the sun at position A and the sun at position B is like 13 seconds or something, 14 seconds, and then the day is 24 hours long. 24 divided by
that's all back engineered, though.
Yeah, I know. And so every single one of these things is a flat Earth measurement.
Yeah, that's the thing. The four you just gave, and then you want to back engineer it to a ball after you just gave four measurements right there of our flat Earth.
Well,
but that's what they did. They back engineered it into 365 days in a year. No shit.
Oh, he actually mentioned latitude too. You get at this certain latitude, and then you travel due east for 10 miles. I'm good. Flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth. And then he does the switcheroo and he says 24 hours.
Yep.
that is, and then you divide that into seconds. And then you've got 13 seconds between position, 10 miles away, 13 seconds between sun reading 1 and sun reading 2 or whatever. And that's, then you just, presume that that's on a sphere because of 24 hours, because the sun, dude, you're measuring the sun flat. You're doing all these freaking flat Earth measurements. And yeah, now I got to go find it. Hold on.
Yeah, they want to bypass all the flat Earth measurements to get to their back engineering of a globe. And the other thing you'll like about this too, this sermon, not to get back, I will stay on flat Earth. He does reference the stars, and I was so happy that he didn't mess it up. He was like, God gave us the stars to be light unto the world, which is true, and to be for signs and seasons. And he says, and people use them for navigation. And he likens it to stars are also called pastors, and we're called stars, and we're supposed to be, people are supposed to navigate from the light that's emanating through us as the body of Christ. It's really good.
Yeah, like past stars, ministars. It's all in the stars, mate.
My wife used to call, when I first met her, she had the Guyanese accent, she'd call it pasta. I said, no, we're not going to eat. Not pasta. Pasta. Pasta.
Pasta Dutchie on the left-hand side.
I used to like that song. Boy, this Michael Jackson movie is getting a lot of one of his, I guess his daughter is making a big fuss about it because it's not coming up. And like the comments on the video, people are like, what are you trying to do? We know everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's a sinner. But what's the point? They're making a movie about Michael Jackson. So you want all the stuff that's unproven to be in there? Because nothing was ever proven. They can say, everybody can say what they want, but I'm telling you right now, that's not the fruit of a pedophile. They don't pick some and others they don't. They abuse them all. There's no. So every one of them would have had some abuse done to them. How come Alfonso Rivero and what's the other kid that was in Home Alone? Macaulay Culkin. Why don't all of these kids have stories that this one nobody claims? They all wanted a piece of his money. But the people in the comments like, why don't you just enjoy your father's legacy and the comfortability which you could live your life in?
Yeah, I don't often go to the cinemas, but I might make an effort and make a plan to go and watch that.
I love Michael Jackson. I grew up with that stuff. The cartoon. There was a Jackson 5 cartoon on Saturday mornings. Yeah. I'm big into Michael Jackson. And then like Off the Wall to me is way better than Thriller.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
I loved Off the Wall, man.
Yeah.
You got Rock With You on there. You got Off the Wall, right? You have
Yes.
She's Out of My Life.
Yeah,
What's
She's Out of
the
My
other
Life.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't. I know the songs. I know the songs, but I can't think of the names of the songs.
Now, Thriller was no slouch either. Thriller was like, that was like the big one. But to me, I like Off the Wall.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Thriller was all his videos, wasn't it? Video killed, Video Killer Radio Star. He made a big thing about these videos to the MTV, and I remember when Thriller came out. I think we all, the first showing of it was on somewhere, and there was a group of us in school. I think we wagged it, which means we didn't go into school, and in order to get back to one of the lads' houses to watch this the video of Thriller or whatever it was at the time. It was like a big deal, man.
Look, you got Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Rock With You, Working Day and Night, Get on the Floor, Rock With You. That was an amazing album, man. Well, the reason why he did that was Paul McCartney, because he was getting really big. He said, listen, you can have good videos and, get a good manager because the money's going to be coming in and it can very easily go out. He goes, and what else you should get into is publishing. And he said, Michael smiled at him. He goes, yeah, I'm going to get yours. and Paul McCartney was like, oh, Michael. Like he got him. He got the publishing rights to the Beatles songs. Yeah, but that was on the advice of Paul McCartney. Make good videos, and boy, did he make good videos. I remember Thriller debuted Christmas Eve, midnight, Christmas Eve. That's when it came on. I know, because I was there waiting. And then when the Motown, the 25th anniversary of Motown, I was watching that. I was in a disco watching that in the arena when he pulled that moonwalk off live. Man, the whole place erupted. And they're using photography. That's not needed. Dude.
It's amazing. I used to be into all that myself back in the day. I'm into the music scene, the soul, it was hip hop came in, and then the mixing and acid house. But yeah, I was into all that in my younger days. Body popping. As I've got older now, I still try and do a few moves in front of the kids. And
you do the popping like my brother Chris does. He does does all the moves, the pop rocking and.
But I used to do a little bit of break dancing back in the day. You could, the windmills and.
You know how that started, right? In Brooklyn, I guess in all the boroughs, when people would throw out, if somebody bought an appliance like a washing machine, it was a big box. We used to play in the box. We used to go in the box and like the bottom part will come out and you crawl through it, and then you would play with it until it opened up flat. And then they started breakdance. That's where it started from. Then they got freaking smart and were like, whoa, this linoleum in my house is pretty good. They started bringing linoleum out into the middle of the streets to break dance on.
Yeah, we did it in North Manchester. Rolled up lino, and we're going to have challenges with. He was brought up in an area called Blakely in North Manchester, and then up the road there was an area called Crumsall, and we used to go and get a challenge, and we used to have our big double cassette tape recorders, and we'd put like Al Nashif and stuff like that off, and you'd get up and start popping, and there's popping in pretty much of the faces, and it's brilliant. I was into all that.
I was telling my kids the other day, as a matter of fact, I was talking about it. I was like, you just don't even know what Skelly is, do you? They're like, Skelly? But Skelly was a game that we played on the streets. You would make a big box and you would number it 1, 2, 3, 4, and right into the center you would play with 4 or 5 people, and you'd have a bottle cap, and you got to shoot it into each square, 1 to 2, and you got to go across the board and then make it to the center. But while doing that, you could blast somebody and knock them out of the box. And that's where people were in the middle of the street playing Skelzy or Johnny on a Pony. And we used to get like this Yoo-Hoo bottle, to drink Yoo-Hoo. And if you scrape the Yoo-Hoo bottle on a sewer, like the sewer plate, and just keep scraping it lightly, just the rim would crack off. So you'd have the total glass circular ring, and you could use that as your Skelzy piece. But then, it glides nicely, and you may go across the board good. But if there was somebody with a regular bottle cap that melted a little crayon wax in there, they would shatter you if they got to hit you.
That sounds a bit. That sounds complicated. We just used to play curbsy, mate, or marbles.
What's that? Yeah, marbles, not in Brooklyn. We play handball.
Curbsy was just like you had a ball, and then you've got your curb of the pavement. So someone would be on. You'd have to get the ball. You'd throw the ball in a certain way.
Yeah, we called it stoop ball.
It's all to do with angles, mate.
Yeah, you bounce it, and here's what the thing. If you got it off the corner of the curb, or like me, the corner of the step of the stoop, and it went shooting out, you catch that's 100 points. Everything else is 5 points. If you catch the one that bounced off the tip of the step and came shooting back at you on a bounce, is 50. If you caught it straight up, it's 100. After that, it's 5 points on a bounce and 10 points if you catch it straight up. And yeah, if that's what you're calling curbsy, we called it stoop ball. And we played baseball with stoop ball too. The guy would have the ball, and you'd run up to the stoop and blast it, and we would, imaginarily keep the bases. Like, all right, man on second, man on third. There was no freaking video games. You were on the street.
Well, that's what we used to do. We have a knock-a-door run. So you'd knock on a door and just run away. But we was only very young, and we used to call her the woman at number 5. And she was we used to do it because if we was playing curbsy or football, if the ball went in her garden, she would never give you your ball back. She'd burn it.
Yeah, she'd get a house egg during Halloween.
Yeah, so when we did knock-a-door run, we'd knock on a door and run away. And I think
we did that too.
Yeah, but we was only young kids running away. And then
it's called ring and run.
And then, but listen, she couldn't walk very fast. So we'd run down the road, back down to the avenue, and wait there, think, we've got her now. She's got all our balls. And then you just look round the corner. Who was round the corner from the privet? The woman from number 5 with a walking stick, and she's come at you. So we had to run down the next road, thinking, God, and then you'd stand there for a few minutes having a chat, and then you'd look behind you, and there's the woman from number 5 still coming. We couldn't get away from the woman from number 5. And then we had Axeman. We used to throw stones at his windows, right, to annoy him, and then he'd come out with an axe and chase you. So we used to love that. Let's go and get a chase off Axeman. Yeah, it was brilliant. We used to love that one.
Yeah, there was a few people who used to harass in the neighborhood. There was this one lady named Mrs. Piscidelli. We used to freaking drive her nuts, but that's terrible. If you look at Bronx Tale, when they're making fun of the guy in the fruit cart, right? The guy that comes walking down with the fruit cart. See, the kids all used to make fun of him and harass him. That's basically the same thing.
And other than that, we spent our time in the park. We used to just go out and say, right, we're going tree climbing, and we should just go and climb trees. I think, right, can we get up a tree and then make dens, Tarzan swings, just making rope swings over rivers?
What?
Yeah, he just went to Carvelli, so he's coming with.
Right, is that natural break my opportunity to round out? I believe it is. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken, we just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.